And we are live. You want me to?
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast. The mobile version tonight. A couple of us are heading back to our studios as we speak, but we will be connecting there shortly. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you with us this evening. A lot to get to tonight, as we always have on the CantinaMX podcast. It's course there's never a shortage of topics for us on the CantinaMX podcast. So we're glad that you guys can join us tonight live on YouTube as we are every Thursday night. I know we're a little late tonight, but some of us had some work issues. I'm actually on my way back from a Texas Longhorn baseball game that I was had the privilege of working tonight, and others as well are trying to get their way back to, I guess, the studio. So we'll be hear some strange noise because get to tonight. And of course, you can listen to this in our previous editions of the podcast. You can download from the Podcast Center at iTunes and Google Play. You can subscribe to the podcast on the YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. And of course, you can like us on Facebook. And please follow us on the Twitter at CantinaMX _pod. And you can get some of our information there as well. But before we jump right to the topics, lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Let's go ahead and introduce the panel. We do have, as always, a distinguished panel of guests. We have with us, joining us down in Kyle, Texas, which is just southeast of the greater Austin metropolitan area. Talking, of course, about Albert El Chiquis Campa. Beto, how are you?
Hey, doing good. How's everybody?
Glad to have you on the show, Beto. Beto, are we witnessing finally the moment where MLS becomes a little bit more competitive in Conca Champions, or are MLS fans spiking the ball at the tube?
I think it's I'm enjoying the 3-0, the Dempsey I can say motions and all this. It's pretty entertaining, but it is the first leg, so it could end up being a big flop. We'll have to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think that all three teams are going to end up. I mean, this is just me personally speaking. I think that I do think that the New York Red Bulls will probably go through. I can't say the same for Chivas or I'm sorry, for Toronto or Seattle. I think that they have a lot of work to do, even though Chivas has played very poorly at home over the past year. I do think that they'll still be a very tough out to get at home, and sooner or later Chivas is going to break through with the goals, and it could be that because it wasn't like, I mean, either of those teams, Toronto and Seattle, it wasn't as if their defense was.
Oh yeah, they had chances.
Well, I mean,
Chivas had chances.
Tigres wasn't even trying, and they had a couple of really good. I mean, what I mean by not trying, it wasn't that they just weren't being offensive. They were content to long ball and hope they get something instead of actually trying to build something. And Chivas was dangerous pretty much all night. Not as much in the second half, but in the first half for sure. So I do think that they have some opportunities there. But we'll definitely keep an eye on it. I mean, again, for folks that think that this is going to be a constant in between MLS and LigaMX, I mean, it's sooner or later it is going to get more competitive. And could this be the sooner, or are we going to be the later next year? Only time will tell. Super duper heavy favorites in this tournament, which is still the Club America, and they had absolutely no problem getting past out of 4-0. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some other stuff, but we can't do that before introducing the other member of our panel who's with us right now. Joel Aceves joins us from, are we northbound or southbound on the 405?
Hello, John.
Joel, are we northbound or 405 right now?
I don't even know, man. I'm just driving aimlessly.
You're just driving.
405 north.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay. So are you headed home, or are you?
Yes, I'm
going
picking
up to
some.
Six Flags, Magic, or what are we doing?
No, I'm going to Irvine.
Going to Irvine.
I moved on up, John.
Did you move down to the OC, Joel, finally?
Yes, I did, sir.
My apologies. My sympathies.
sympathies.
Yeah, I'm not a
It's
big
not
fan
too
of
bad.
Irvine personally.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
little it's a little sterile.
Oh, snap. Well, I'm new to the area. I don't have any. Only been there like a week. So,
So
Good for you though, man.
you got your inflatable doll as your passengers, so you could do the carpool.
but, yeah, it's a Stone Cold Steve Austin though. Cutout.
You know what's you
It's
know
a
what
cardboard cutout.
what's amazing about Joel's passenger there, Juan Uribe joins us, is that they always look surprised when they're in the car. You know, they always have that look that they're very surprised on those inflatables. But well, we have once again we are. It doesn't happen very often, but it is happening tonight. We are outnumbered. We have three West Coasters. We have Daniel Preciado joining us from Escondido, down I guess south of where Joel is. Dan, how are you tonight?
Yes. We're like
And Dan,
an hour away from me now.
and if I'm not mistaken, Dan, I believe that leaders
What was that?
right now as we speak. That your team is sitting comfortably atop the table.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about comfortably, but they are sitting atop. Yes.
And Johnny Tavares keeps scoring goals like Jared Borghetti in the early part of the decade, just scoring goals in bushels.
Yep. It's they're riding high right now. Is it? Well, I don't know, man. I don't want to get too excited. They could be peaking soon. They still have a considerable amount of pretty good matches, difficult matches. Still have Puebla. I think we got Monterrey coming up next, so some tough matches for sure.
Now,
See if we
Dan,
can maintain.
Do you
Sorry, go ahead.
attribute 95%? Do you attribute 95% of Santos' success or 100% of Santos' success to the firing of Chepo de la Torre?
His absence has. I'd say it's responsible for at least 90%.
90%.
At least.
Well, Dan, it's good to have you on the show again, as always. And,
Happy to be here.
You know, it's a special treat when the Profe Juan Uribe joins us. Now, I used to call you Profe Cambarrayas, but I think you used to get upset with that. So I've decided to just call you the Profe from now on, because you haven't really been talking up the exactly. I haven't really been talking up the Pachuca side of things. But I'm glad, because I know you watched last night. So I'll ask you straight up: does Chivas have a chance to advance in the Conca Champions, or are they going to be the team that loses at home to an MLS side to be eliminated in the quarterfinals? The first team ever.
No. They first of all, good evening, everybody, and John, I'm not offended if you call me Profe Camberrayas, because then I know there's some humor in it, and I'm in on the joke. But when you just call me Profe, Profe Juan, then I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if that's a title of respect or
Of course it is.
or an ironic title. So so I think so actually that accepts me more. But no, I think Chivas.
No, dude, you're the show's coach, dude.
Absolutely, man. You are the mister. You are the one that when we're down, you need to come in and you need to give us that extra boost, like the lady owner in Club de Cuervos when the team was down and she came in and gave them the motivational speech about the Pope. That's what we're looking for you.
Like the owner.
That's what we're looking for from you.
The owner of the Indians in a major league.
That's right. Exactly.
All right,
no,
awesome.
But my question still stands. Will Chivas be eliminated, or are they going to make it to the quarterfinals and play, in all likelihood, Red Bulls New York, which I'm sure that our other Chiva would be thrilled to go see?
No, the thing is, I think Jolie, he doesn't like when they lose, but I think he enjoys like beating himself, like that character in what movie was it? It's with Tom
Da Vinci
Hanks.
Code. Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, the Da Vinci Code.
He strips down what's his name? Paul
Bellamy.
I forget his
Silas.
He beats himself. He's and he's praying and he's like he enjoys the self.
Is that why Ronnie does it? Beats himself?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. Okay.
But see, the thing is, I don't think that Joel is part of Opus Dei because that's an Opus. I think it's part of Opus Day Drinkers. So I think that's what it is.
I would think I wasn't here the way you guys are talking. ¿Qué dicen cuando no estoy, culeros?
No, we're just talking about how when you watch Chivas, you watch it, like the guy from Da Vinci Code whipping your back because you can't take any pleasure from their success.
No, I'm actually been a bit disappointed with the last match. I actually was doing homework and I saw the Seattle Bounders against Santa Tecla, and then I saw the team. And those teams aren't better than Chivas. They're much more humble. Santa Tecla's pretty much semi-pro, and the LAFC only had a handful of preseason games. And I saw Seattle struggling, and I felt,
one of the
yeah, and
one of
Chivas
the
had. Right?
Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, yeah. Then Chivas they had an extra day of rest, given that Seattle had just played. So
You know what I think in that regard is that was Chivas' third game in like 7 days, right? And it was they were coming off that very emotional, very physical Super Classico game. So I think I haven't watched the whole game, but I've read a lot of reviews that say they look a little
Joel, can you
lethargic.
mute yourself, dude?
yes.
Oh,
As you were
can you hear
saying,
me?
Juan.
Oh yeah. So, to me, I think it's just is their third game in 7 days, and it's like an emotional rebound from the Super Classico game. I mean, that game was really intense. But John, I just want to go on the record. I'm sure Jolie's listening. You
Wait,
asked last
let
week
me write this down.
if I
Let
was
me write
Jolie's
this down.
mole.
Yes.
Yeah. You asked if I was Jolie's Tuso in the organization, and I'm not, but I'm pretty sure I know who it is. But I'm not. I'm gonna protect Jolie source. Let him
Sure.
reveal. But it's not. It's definitely not me. It might be Salcedo's sister, but don't quote me on that.
We will pretend like you didn't say it. So the question still
Yeah.
stands now. Now, Alan Pulido today, when they were back in Guadalajara, was quoted as, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I'll paraphrase. He's basically saying, we don't have the players with the guile that is needed to win games like this. We don't have the players with we're very I'm not going to say inexperienced, but a team that's not necessarily naive, but a team that just doesn't have that group of players that can will themselves to getting a result. Which frankly, it was funny that he said that yesterday, because was it yesterday where Juventus played Tottenham, and that's exactly what one of my favorite players of all time, Chiellini, was saying about Tottenham. He's like we knew that Tottenham said they're a great team, they have a great future, but they just don't have the players that have that kind of experience to carry through. We knew that sooner or later they were gonna, it was gonna fall apart for them, and it almost seems like that could possibly happen to Chivas, because the reality. Go ahead.
So he's calling them. I guess Jolie would say they're all pechos frios.
That pretty much, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, Pecho Frios, and it's almost the way he said it, at least the way I understood it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, John. It sounded like it's like they don't have the pedigree, the history to come up with the needed play to win.
Right. He basically says
just knew that
they haven't gone to the well. They haven't been at the well long enough to know how far down they have to dig deep to get a result like that. Was
whereas
the essence of what he said.
whereas he being part of Juventus, he was like we just kind of like it was going to come around our way eventually because that's what we do.
Right.
And maybe they're used to the way their system, their team setup is. They grind out ugly wins all the time. They're in ugly games all the time. So they
played ugly Serie A, which is what battles. They do. Yeah. Now, and I will say this about Chivas. Now, I mean, I am making the comparison, but Seattle Sounders is by no means a Juventus at all. I mean, that's just. I mean, I know that they've done well in the league. They've been runners up, but I mean, to me, Chivas next week is a game that they should be able to get the goals they need to now they cannot let Seattle score at all. If they do that, then they're going to be in big trouble because then they're going to have to score 3.
You know, the thing too is he's
2-1
in
that
Gonzalo
Tigres have.
Pineda, one of the Seattle assistants. So I think, I mean, in that respect, he's kind of maybe that gives them a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way: if Chivas loses next week, Gonzalo is going to be very upset. Not Gonzalo Pineda. Gonzalo Chiva is going to be very upset with
Gonzalo.
Let's be honest though, man. It's pretty piss poor, and it's looking pretty dire right now. The season's pretty much lost, and this was basically like the one thing that could kind of salvage the season. And yesterday was not very encouraging. I still think they're going to pull it out, but definitely not encouraging. I thought Cholos would more than likely be the team that would probably get bounced out of the competition. Like you said, I think Chivas is the better team, but they're not looking even remotely close to. And I think it's kind of funny and pathetic for Pulido to make such comments because I'm like, you just won the league a year ago,
right? It's like you should be you should be that guy. I mean, don't go sitting there and looking around if you're looking around the locker room for that guy, why don't you look at yourself, dude?
Yeah, you
should be that guy. They paid a gigantic pile of money to bring you in, and you have delivered. So why, what is it about now that you? I mean, why do they have a crisis of confidence?
Like that chance that he missed was just embarrassing
against the goalie.
Yeah, I'm like, and you knew that was going to happen. I'm like, the dude had way too much time to think about it, and then like his second touch was horrible,
awful,
and he gave himself and then his finish and I still think a better cold-hearted striker would have put that away still, even.
Hey, but to defend the Chivas though, to defend them, if you say that that you think they'll get past Seattle. I think if they even get past Seattle, they have a pretty good chance of going to the final against Red Bulls. And then we all saw
either Tijuana or Red Bulls. Either one, they would have a good chance.
Well, I think Red Bulls is going to go through. So I think they have a chance there, and then they make the final. And say they go against America, they just tied them in the Clásico, so they're going to play up to the competition.
Chiquis has been listening to my comments.
Yeah, so they have. I think they have one game. I think it could totally change, and I guess the comments from Pulido are disheartening. But I think the next game they could be a totally different team, and I don't think they played too bad against Seattle. They had some good offense.
Well, we want to hear from you Chivas fans that are listening to us right now. Post on the chat. Tell us what you think. Should Chivas fans start cracking each other's heads open and eat the brains? Is it all over, or is there still hope that they're gonna find a fresh resource for them to at least feast for another round of Conca Champions?
I also think it's time we start questioning Almeida's involvement. He does share, he has his share of the blame in all of this. Just the missing out on the league, that's a fracaso by itself. And they're struggling more than they should.
I think he kind of sets them up like that, though.
Excuse me?
He sets them up like that, though. Like, kind of like the way he talks about, like, them not getting the players that he wanted to replenish the team, and all that just plants seeds that you're not good enough, which is odd. Like, again, I'm going to say, it's like you just won a championship less than a year ago. The team should not be this low on confidence.
I agree, and the second thing that I think a lot of people shouldn't forget is that one of the goals for the club is to have more players from the youth teams. So it shouldn't be an excuse that we don't have players when they're trying to promote more talent and have a more just more players from the Cantera overall.
Well, let's talk about Chivas, like the players that are on Chivas right now, the starting 11 that are on Chivas right now. Okay, it's 11 Mexicans. Out of those 11 Mexicans, how many of those players are even being considered to make the final 23 for the World Cup?
I'd say Cota as a third keeper.
And how many of Chivas? How many of Chivas current players came through the academy? Of their starting 11, how many of those players were they produced in house? I think they've been having to buy because the cantera hasn't been producing at least the quality that they need to be competitive. And you look at the back line, we got what? How old is Salcido now? 37, 36?
Salcido's in his mid-50s.
I mean, he's probably one of the last youth players that, I mean, they got a few promising, interesting players on the bench. JJ Macias and, a few other players. But I think it's just the cantera itself hasn't really produced to the degree that they need, and the future doesn't look the outlook doesn't look very bright. I mean, in the youth national teams, usually you see several Chivas players, at least 4 or 5, throughout the call-ups, and I think there's been a drop off in that. And I mean, we could attribute it to Jose Luis Real not being in the picture as far as the youth teams getting less call-ups, but or the change in leadership, the change in the system, because Almeida's he's directly responsible for it now. To what degree is his involvement, I don't know, but he's got from what Jolie has been transmitting and basically what's been in the press, is Almeida's his head's on the platter as far as he's a guy responsible for everything, for the performance. But I mean, the goals haven't come in, but I think the team has played well, and if we contrast or compare to the way Cholos has been playing, Cholos last week, I was at the game, the CONCACAF Champions League game last week against the Panama club, Motagua, and I mean, there was nothing else Coca could do with that squad to make them score. You had guys missing wide open chances, one against the goalie. So I think to a certain degree you can blame the manager for setting up the team a certain way, but if the players aren't, I mean, is he gonna put on the shirt and score the goals himself? Well, can he do that?
Well, let's talk about the 2 moves that Chivas made between seasons that are now, what was the end result? The first one is they let JJ Vasquez go. And Dan, what would you say has been one of the biggest reasons why Santos has been in the goals? Why?
What was the question? Yeah, you broke up again, dude.
He was talking about
who attribute, aside from Tavares, who would you attribute Santos's success this season?
Gotcha. Easily Gallito.
Right. I mean, how can you let a guy like that go? Oh, they're talking about, estamos playing
yeah, he's the reason I think that they have a legitimate chance of winning, because he's a proven champion. He's won.
Right.
Where he's gone.
Against Vegas. So they let him go, and then they had that whole Alanis novela, which lasted what 6 weeks into the season. I know he's playing now. So those are the 2 moves that Chivas made to start the season with, and obviously both moves have been complete and utter disasters for them. And unfortunately for them, things haven't gotten better. I mean, they've only won 5 games at home. 5 games at home between last season and this season.
Yeah, the goalkeeper thing was also another big deal, because it ties into the whole Alanis thing, where they said they didn't want to have players with because Alanis only had 6 months left, and then they go and sign Cota on a 6-month loan, and Pachuca doesn't want to. They'll sell him, but at a very high price, and Chivas had gotten a few other keepers back. I also think it sends a message that the coach doesn't trust you if he's going to push hard to bring back a player to be on loan that's going to be gone soon.
The coach
Right.
is
Yes.
very
Go ahead.
beginning knows he doesn't trust them. Said that they need more signings. They didn't do any new signings in the offseason. And then Pulido said the same thing just recently.
Well, but they did do sign. I mean, they brought in Cisneros and Sandoval from Santos in positions where they just didn't need anybody. I mean, they have wingers and offensive midfielders coming out of the woodwork at Chivas. I mean, they're everywhere. And the Cisneros guy, I think, has potential to be a great player, but he didn't even start. They started the Godinez kid last night, and the Godinez kid who scored in the Super Clásico. So it's not like it's not as if he had been producing either. So. But again, positions that weren't necessarily positions of need, and it just makes you wonder, for a team as proud as Chivas is, and for as loyal as their fans are, for as dedicated as their fans are, it just seems to me that the Chivas team never lives up to. And not necessarily that you guys have crazy expectations, but I mean, I think the expectation of wanting a team to be run well and competitive at the very least competitive is something that should be a given. And, Chivas, for as many good players as they have, I mean, they should be just smoking people right now, and they're not.
And, John, you made a kind of a point. Maybe it was a little subtle, but they got rid of proven players and they brought in potential, right? Prospects.
Right. I mean, which is fine. I mean, bring those guys in, but don't get rid of them. I mean, you got rid of a guy. I know that Gallito maybe hadn't been playing as much or as well as he did when he was at León, but this was a guy who dominated two of the best midfielders on the planet. I mean, took them to school for 90 minutes. One of the best games I've ever seen any midfielder play for Mexico. I mean, he has that capacity, and to just. I mean, to me, it was a very questionable move, and I feel if Pumas was playing better, I'd feel really bad. But I do feel bad for Chivas fans because they deserve better. The team should play better. They have. It reminds me so much of 2013 when Chepo has, all these players, but they're desperately trying to do something, and they don't know what to do or how to get there because they don't have anybody. There's no leadership on Chivas right now, as evidenced by that quote that Purita has. Like, dude, we're looking for somebody. That should be you, dude. Step up.
Like take that role. I mean, you're the one earning the big money. You're the one that
Exactly.
You're the big name, supposedly from Europe. You're supposed to be the superstar of the team. And this clearly shows that doesn't have the wiring for it.
Yeah, he lacks that confidence, Dan, going off of what you're saying, because the really good players like Cristiano or Neymar or Messi, they go up to the challenge. So I'm not saying he's at their level, but you could have that attitude, that kind of arrogance, sort of
Oribe.
like you see Zlatan have.
I think Oribe is a good example of someone who believes in himself, who knows that he's going to do it.
I would settle for Pipo Inzaghi.
Well, that guy was great, man. But going back to your point though, real quick. As far as the signings go, I think losing Gallito is even more exemplified when you keep in mind the horrible backline that's there, like especially in center back's position. It's so weak that like he offered the one little bit of protection for those center backs, and you remove him, and now you kind of have no bite in the midfield, and then you have like true troncos in the back line, and it's a recipe for disaster. You could tell the offensive players are pushing way too hard. They're dribbling. Like I see, it seems like every player on the team plays the exact same way. They dribble great. They dribble past maybe one or two players, but they hold on way too long. They get dispossessed, and then they get put in a position where they're wide open to take in another goal. It's I
they're
think
pressing. They're pressing. They've been pressing for
they're
3
absolutely
months.
pressing, and as far as signings go, they need to shore up that back line. They didn't need Gael. They didn't need well, I could understand maybe going for Ronaldo just because you don't have a goal scorer, which is odd because he's being played in a completely different position now. You would have, I don't know. I guess I would have thought that they would have gotten for someone to shore up that back line because I think you can't win if you're going to be giving up goals all the time.
You know
I
what?
mean, if you're going to give up Gallito of Santos, at least get Nestor Araujo for him in return.
That I think that signifies the bad negotiation from Higuera, because that's basically how the other teams were trying to negotiate with Chivas. Basically, you want our top Mexican player, pay us this much, or give us this other player in exchange.
Yeah, but you see, but
I
that's
think
the problem, Joel. Is it going after the top Mexican players? It looks good on paper, and the fans are great. But Peláez, when he rebuilt America, he didn't rebuild America going after like the top of the top players. We got solid LigaMX players, proven LigaMX players. Why not get proven LigaMX Mexican players? They don't have to be the flashy ones, but I mean they can certainly be. Like a Carlos Esquivel. I mean, not necessarily him right now, but just as an example of a guy who's been plugging along for, I think I'm out actually, for 10, 15 years, etc. I'm in a dead zone.
Hey, one thing I noticed though against the Seattle team is the typical U.S. versus Mexico or even MLS when they just sit back and work on the counter. It was like Mexico from like 10 years ago where Chivas was attacking, not really getting a good clean shot, and then Seattle was so very dangerous on the counter, and their defense was like all in disarray and everyone was out of position. So it seems like the Mexican mentality, they don't know how to beat the bunker, they don't know how to protect the counterattack efficiently, and that's what the game looked like.
All right, so before
You're
we move
waiting
on to
for
the
one of
next
these.
game, go ahead, Dan. Yeah, I got shot in service right now, so y'all keep talking. I'll join you guys in about 5 minutes.
Right.
did Profe Cambia Raya say that Chivas can pull out the win at the Akron?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we all said that. You don't think they can do it?
No, I think it's possible, but I think the upset is just as possible. I could go either way, you know. I think sometimes it's mental and it could affect you. I think that's a bit of what Chivas is going through right now, where the mental aspect of the game. Especially going off of what Pulido is saying, it's like you said, they seem to have lost a lot of confidence.
You,
I think,
you know what, Jolie?
yeah.
Going to that Cholos game, it gave me a really good idea of how Coca sets up the team, what he asks his players to do, and there's a few things that to me, if they're a team of, it just gave me a better picture to understand how they play, and I would like to see. I wonder if Michelada, what's his name, Rigo, when he went to the Chivas game, if he was able to take some pictures of how they set up in certain situations, like in a corner, in the throw-ins, or anytime
I think Rigo uses FIFA for that.
Ooh.
I think he uses FIFA for that
Oh,
to simulate those stuff. I think
because I mean that really gives me an idea of whether Almeida is really growing the team or how limited he is tactically. So I'm gonna try to. Well, if you have a picture like that, because like
Yeah, I'll
I'll
tell you
tell
what
you,
happens on the corners, dude.
yeah,
They put the two short dudes on the corner,
uh-huh.
what you call the La Volpiña corner kick, when you're just wasting a guy, man.
Oh, the short corner play.
Yeah, but they don't even
I
do the
mean,
short corner most of the time.
well,
You're just
I mean, if you
wasting.
got a bunch of midgets, it's to your
Still,
advantage.
you can mix a guy in there and do something, even though he's
Well, I
short. He's
mean,
not gonna get a header.
look, if you think your players have superior 1v1 ability, and I mean, if it's to your benefit to hold possession, then I don't see a particular problem with it. Now, I mean, it's just they gotta try to get something out of it, and maybe they use their cross one in once in a while. You know what I mean?
They do. That's not well. From what I can tell, they do cross it. They're just having two guys back there just like to fake it, and they never do
Uh-huh.
the short corner. They pretty much cross it most of the time, from what I
Oh, okay.
remember. But it's just like
Yeah,
waste.
yeah.
You're just using a player for no reason when he could have at least be at the top of it.
Yeah, and you
But
know what? Going off of what how it's talking about the height. If you see like the amount of corner kicks the team gets, and how many connect or how many are dangerous, like headers, it's very few. So in one of their last games, I don't know if it was the one against America. Out of like 12 corner kicks, only one was like a dangerous shot. All the rest were just wasted.
Alanis will be the only one who'll get hit on.
Well, that could be part of the strategy defensively for the opposing teams. It's like go ahead and give them the corner. Like
yeah,
if we have time to set up, then we could feel pretty comfortable that we're going to be able to defend them because they're all a bunch of shorties, and apparently they can't really get open on those plays. So that might be part of the strategy too. If you know that your opponent can't do anything on set plays, just give it to them.
and
And
Yeah,
and on those corner kicks, it's perfect if you're a counter. If you want to hurt them on the counterattack, I mean that a corner kick is the best time to do it.
you know what, Dan? Going off of what you're saying, I have felt in a way that a lot of the teams had figured out Almeida's tactics, and a lot of times set up their team in a way that, yeah, Chivas might look good because they have more possession, where it seems like they're creating all these chances. But at the end of the day, if you pull out a tie from the, if you take a point from the tape from the away game, or and just seeing how many points Chivas has gotten, or almost no wins, you really can't it, um, use that argument that the team is looking good.
oh, I mean, you can if they're creating chances, they're getting shots on goal. They're simply not finishing them, Jolie.
Yeah, but how long are
And
you gonna hold on to a
well,
coach if the
well,
results? I mean, look at if
I
you
mean
add up
that
the last two results, the last two liguillas, if you add all the points, Chivas will still be at the bottom of the table.
well, that's why I want to see. I want to see his complete tactics to get a complete opinion, because like I'm getting the suspicion that as far as a Bielcista, or Bielsa, what's it called, follower, he's not he's on the lower end of the spectrum as far as quality. Like what's the name of the guy at Puebla? I forgot his name. He's
Ojitos.
another Bielsa assistant.
Oh,
All these Bielsa
right.
disciples. I think Almeida, he's a decent one, but he's a little immature tactically, maybe. And I think Diego Coca's another Bielcista, right? Another Bielsa disciple. Uh, I mean, so he's not at the level of like a Sampaoli or even Pochettino, or even Guardiola himself or Bielsa himself. So I think it might be time to find another coach, maybe
I
that
definitely think he's
has.
lost the team.
I think he just doesn't adapt to the way teams are adapting. Like you guys said, maybe they figured him out a little bit, and he's not changing his setup. And I think too, um, the spacing, the off the ball movement, it's not there, and he's not correcting this, which is why they're stacking these 1v1, these players that seem like they're good at 1v1s, and kind of trying to rely on them to grind out games, to squeeze out wins. And So it could
I
be.
just don't see how the team's gonna. I just don't see how he's gonna be able to turn it around. I mean, if
The
he's
series.
dead set on thinking that not, beyond the series, just like and even just trying to salvage the season, like to not even to make Liguilla, but just to not finish dead last.
Well, I mean, they gotta give him they gotta give him the squad to compete. You know, there's a couple games
Dude, he's got the
where
squad.
he took out Pineda, and so tactically he screwed up. You know, he should that kind of lost the midfield, and the team went to shit, and the defense was getting exposed, and they came and they ended up losing or tying. But I think overall, I mean, Michael Perez the last few seasons he was balling, he was playing out of his mind. So he was benching Gallito. It wasn't that Gallito was doing too
That's
bad. It
true.
was
Yeah,
just that
yeah.
Michael Perez was at another level. And I think just this season, there's been a few players that they're not performing to what they had shown, and there's no good backup to bench them. The same way Gallito got pushed to the bench by Michael Perez. Um, so I mean, I think that the roster is definitely an issue, and because they're stacking all these wingers and all these forwards, and they're not really they're not rotating them in and out to get them going. Like I think 2 years ago they bought a kid named Alejandro Sendejas from FC Dallas for I don't know I can't remember how much, if it was 500,000 or 200,000, and they kept bringing in wingers, they kept debuting wingers, and it's just I don't know, they can't figure out which ones they want to go with. Um, and then maybe too when they brought in Pulido, to me that broke some of the chemistry the players had, because it seemed like Cisneros and what's the other forward's name again?
Well, I do think he added. I mean, he helped them win the championship. I mean,
Oh, definitely, definitely. But I think he broke some of the chemistry because before he came in, they were like on a big win streak. The team was just flying high, and it was just a bunch of rookies, and the rookies were all benching the top players: Gullit, Peña, Gallito, even Pulido himself had to wait his turn. And I mean, I think that's just what it is. Just the backup. There's no backup players to bench these guys. No quality.
I don't know, man. I see the team, and it's essentially, to me, looks very similar to the championship team.
The
Granted, I
roster
know, yeah, the roster
on
seems
paper, you mean?
pretty close. Yeah, I don't think they should be performing as poorly as they are. I really don't think so. I've
Hey,
seen
dude,
enough of their games but there's just no finishing product. I mean, there's a lot of attractive play, but no goals.
Yeah,
And
Gullit,
there
remember?
are chances.
I think the roster's fine. I think the Almeida said at the beginning of the season where he didn't get a big signing, he showed lack of confidence in the current players. I think that's just an excuse because things weren't going well, and he wanted a
And
reason.
I think that also got into the players' heads too. Is like, we're not good enough. Our coach is saying it too.
Yeah, he said it first, and then Pulido repeated it just recently, and they're all buying into it. So I don't think, like Joel said earlier, that it was like a
And
confidence.
and Almeida's done this before too, where he's made these like comments where he feels he's so handicapped, and it's
But they,
I don't know, man. To me, it's just like it's excuse
Hey,
making, but like worse than that, it plants those seeds of doubt in your players, where you should always, despite of what you may think, and whoever losses bad they may be, put out there and just say, no, man, we're better than this. We're champions. We should be playing better. Like, to you make those comments about not having the roster you want, you know, to your bosses.
where he did that to lessen the negative perception that they had on him as a coach. He wanted to keep his stock up higher because he knew it was going down, and he started wanting to shift the blame. I think that's the way I view his comment.
Well, because
you know
he's
what
been
too?
making comments like that even while they were successful. He was making comments like that where, if he's speaking to the Argentine press, he's like, yeah, well, it's.
Oh, you mean
Hey, dudes, don't forget that from his championship winning squad, they sold the main guy who scored that was like either their first or second best goal scorer in Gullit. Wasn't he their scoring leader a year ago when they were champions?
I don't
Gullit
know if he
Peña.
was their leading goal scorer. I mean,
Yeah,
you might
I
be
think,
right.
and he didn't. He came. It was like he would come in a game with sometimes 30 minutes left, 20 minutes left, and he'd come and score a goal. And he did that in the final because he didn't really fit into the way like Almeida wanted the team to play. But he still recognized that it's a quality player, so he would still bring him in when he needed a goal, or and
That's funny that you
so
mentioned him
he
though,
had that
because
on.
he's another player that I would not think of as leader.
And but that's the thing that he had a role and it seemed to work before, but then they got rid of him, and they have nobody to turn to kind of because Gullet's a different type of player. I think like right now Almeida's relying
Especially
kind of
compared
to
to the players
Gullet to
that
the
are
wings.
on the roster now. I agree with you, man. Like he's a physical presence.
Yeah, I mean so I think he has a more vertical style of play as far as down the middle. Uh, and I think they're missing that because he was just he would just make things happen even by himself, even without you know getting that many minutes.
What do you guys think about the, just to change it up because I think we're exhausting the whole Chivas talk. Where out of the other teams, are you guys worried about any of the other teams not
in in,
qualifying
in, in
in the
Champions League.
Champions League? Yeah.
I think Cholos is out, man, because like I went to their game last week in Tijuana against Motagua, and they just couldn't finish. They had all their strikers, like they had four strikers, their center mids. They had all these shots on goal, and they made the Motagua, is that a Panama team or Honduras team? I forget. It was
I
Hondurans,
believe
That's
it's
right?
Honduras.
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 Yeah, yeah. So they made that Honduran goalie look like a superstar, and most of the shots were like straight at him, or they just whiffed they just barely missed the goal. Um, so they got a bunch of bottlers up front. I mean, they're quick, they're skillful, but they can't finish their chances. But they still they get so many chances that they could salvage it. But I could see them uh, not going through. And secondly, I think Coca's a system where it's an attacking system that tries to be how do you say enjoying as far as pleasant to the eye,
Yeah.
but it's not complete. I think because there's a lot of situations where I see bad spacing between his lines, between his midfielder, his back line, and his forwards, and he would never address it. He would never, and that's just the way he plays. So I think he's a little tactically immature for my taste, at least as far as what he's trying to do with his team. I think he could adjust the spacing in the between the back line and the midfield, especially when the midfield has the ball and they're not pushing forward,
Yeah. Well,
or
no,
or
I mean,
in throwing situations as well.
yeah, I would agree that's, to me, that's the team that's more likely going to get eliminated. I still think Chivas are going to go through. Um, I think Tigres probably had they're going to have, I think they'll have a relatively comfortable time in Monterrey. And America looks like they're, at least in CONCACAF, they're flying. But,
Yeah, the easy path in Tauro. They're already through.
yeah, but they're doing it right, though. Like, I mean, that's what you want to see, right? When you play a team that you think you're considerably better than, is actually show it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I like. Do I think Cholos is a lesser team than New York Red Bull, who's just coming off of preseason? No, but they lost, and really badly too. It was a really poor game, really poor match. And then Chivas, it's kind of like a similar thing, but I think there's a greater potential there. And then going home, where MLS teams, for the most part, have not traveled well to Mexico. They tend to lose big. So I'm thinking the Chivas will muster up some kind of confidence and pull through. Tigres, I think they're gonna walk away. It should be interesting because the obviously Toronto is a pretty good team, but I do think that Tigres is going to be too much for them. It would have been interesting had they met maybe later in the competition, or if Toronto was maybe matched up with other LigaMX teams, where I think they probably would give them a better game, but I don't think they're going to have enough for Tigres. I don't know what you guys think.
I think they'll wear him out, but I think Toronto's going to put up a fight in Monterrey, and it could be pretty close. But it all every time MLS teams go to Mexico, I always see them succumbing to either the pressure or the fitness or the depth that the Mexican teams have, and then they end up winning. The Mexican teams end up winning. But actually, to go to what you said earlier, I think the Tijuana had a lot of chances and a lot of pressure when they were down 1-0. They were trying hard to get that thing back. And I think they looked pretty good, but like Juan was saying, they just couldn't put it in. They just couldn't score. But they were like pounding on the door hard. And then once the second goal came in, it was just pretty much over. I think they look.
It kind of reminded me of Jolie at Whataburger.
Do what?
You mean me at Whataburger?
One of you guys.
Once
That's
again,
actually Ron. That's Ron.
once again.
Is that so? Who made you Pope of this stuff, huh?
I mean, seriously. So sorry, I missed y'all. I'm assuming y'all wrapped up on your Chivas talk.
I tried to.
Chivas.
I tried to.
Don't make me
We could have
laugh.
done this. They could have kept going all day. So I try to
Did
veer it into the
Did we have a good Chiva contra Chiva, or was it amicable?
mostly amicable. I think everybody's kind of like it's mostly doom and gloom at this point. So typically, I mean, everyone's I guess joining Jolie.
Well, I did notice the olive branch when Juan did ask or did make the point that the Real was not there and not in charge of the youth. So I did notice that there was some flowers thrown. Not
John, es de sabios reconocer errores.
That was low hanging fruit. I want to see if Jolie would take the bite, but he knows he's been served already, so I think he just kind of balked at it.
Well, I don't know if you guys talked about Sunak, because obviously I've just joined here on the CantinaMX podcast, but to me the biggest difference in that game last night between Tigres and Toronto was the pitch. I think both teams were slopping around, but I do think that Toronto's fluky goal is going to be tough for Tigres to overcome. And if they don't score in the first 30 minutes or so, then as y'all said, it's going to be. And then that's what this tournament should be. It should be interesting. It should be exciting. And that's isn't that why we have this tournament? I mean, seriously, is it fun for LigaMX fans to watch?
I disagree, John.
Watch plow.
No, I disagree vehemently. No, I think most LigaMX fans are tuning in, hoping, maybe expecting an MLS beatdown.
What I think is a little.
Watch the pipe.
Yeah, careful, man. Mute yourself, bro.
That's right.
No. Look, I think it's a little pathetic for the Mexican clubs because they got most of them got a starting lineup of foreign players. Argentines, Brazilians, etc.
Chileans mostly. It's now Chileans.
So they're stacking up on the Chileans. I think 8 years ago it was Paraguayans, right, and Ecuadorians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Colombiano.
There's still a few sprinklings here and there.
And now what I notice is with the MLS clubs is a lot of them are
doing the same thing.
No, they I think it was, I don't know if it was the Red Bulls. They had like seven homegrown players, and I think Toronto's pretty.
Yeah, but that's not normal.
Dude. If you look at MLS top to bottom, they actually have more foreigners than LigaMX.
Well, but the teams that are competing right now with the Mexican clubs, they're head to head. They have more homegrown players than the Mexican clubs, and I think that's just something interesting to look at. And I mean, I don't know if that's a trend or if that's going to be a trend, but
I don't think you can look too much into it. The league is being built on. I think they're relying less on old stars, but I think what they're doing now is they're filling up the teams with
serviceable players.
Third level South Americans.
Yeah, they're copying. They're like LigaMX 2.0.
Yeah, that's
essentially how they're filling up the rosters.
If these three teams are a trend as far as the rest of the league. That remember you guys had a kind of a point where you thought more Mexicans would end up playing in MLS based on the fact that these guys that's going to be an opportunity they don't get in Mexico.
Well,
So I think
go ahead, Juan. Please finish.
well I mean that's just what I think. There's a lot of Mexican Americans in their academy system. So I mean that's a possibility. I think now that I didn't think was possible, but I think you guys might be right there.
Well, here's my queja with this whole. If you don't mind, I want to register a queja. Is that may I? On this whole MLS with South American players. I mean,
do it.
this is an unbelievably massive opportunity for young Mexican players to take advantage to get this gigantic vitrina that they would just. And instead, it's going to, there's like LAFC has Carlos Vela, and then the guy that scored the goal is what, a 19-year-old Uruguayan, isn't that Joel?
That is correct, sir.
Why can't that be Ronaldo Cisneros or that kid Macias?
Because Uruguayans are better at soccer than Mexicans.
Hey, that Rossi kid has a lot of hype behind him too.
Well, my point is
the finish was
it,
pretty spectacular. I mean,
my point is, well, both the pass and the finish. I mean, that was a world-class play.
It was a great goal. Yes.
Maybe Chivas should have sold trophies. That could have been trophies there.
Hey, you know what? You might joke about it now, but that's where I see trophies sending out.
Yeah.
People think he's going to Europe, but he's more likely to be in an MLS team than at least within the next
Trophy's end up playing it.
He's never played in
Europa
Europe.
de Nicaragua if he plays in Europa. That's gonna be
stick a fork in him, dude. That dude is never going to Europe.
Trophies.
And with each passing week, the chances for Pineda and Pizarro are dwindling as well. Pineda still has a little bit more hope because I think he is younger than Pizarro, or am I wrong there?
No, he is. He's like 2 years younger.
So I do think he still has a little bit of time, but it's really just discouraging signs all around, man. That whole team is disappointed the crap out of me.
Yeah, the disappointing for Mexico fans, but for Chivas fans, they have a guy that they should be talking about Pizarro, Pineda, and Pulido, like the three Ps. Think about them and just. Nada.
Well, look, Trophies was Chivas' best player early in the season, and I mean he was getting the crap kicked out of him. So I mean I could see potentially a drop in form in these last few games, but I still think he's probably Chivas' best game or best player, if not second best player.
Pizarro didn't even play against. Did he come off? Did he play the second half? Pizarro last night?
Yeah, he did.
He did come in.
I believe so.
Yeah, because I'll admit se me fueron las luces about halftime last night.
I fell asleep mercifully.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. But so I did not get to, but I did watch that later today.
Well, we were just kind of going through the teams of that we thought might not make it, and I'm still kind of thinking that Xolos is probably the only one that will be eliminated in this round.
Yeah, I think all three of them have a chance of not making it, honestly. But I mean, I do think that Xolos is the one that is in most danger of not advancing. Then I would put Chivas second and Tigres third. I think Tigres as away goal is going to save their ass.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. I'm actually thinking they're going to win more easily than we would probably want to think. Even though it's Stuka and he likes to keep it close, regardless, I think they'll win comfortably.
Yeah, and then they got Gignac up front.
Yeah, and I mean they have a great team. I mean, obviously they have a great team. I mean, but Tigres has laid eggs in this tournament before, so
yes, they have.
They could lay a big egg.
And they probably are feeling a lot more pressure for this particular match than Toronto. I mean, Toronto is expected to lose. They're coming off of preseason. They have all kinds of excuses that they can lean on to is like, hey, we have nothing to lose. Let's just play. Where Tigres has that.
there does seem to be some pressure from the fans because they're comparing themselves to Monterrey, whereas Monterrey has won that cup and they haven't.
Well, we've talked about it on the show too. I mean, it's the one thing that's eluding Tuca.
It is Tuca's white whale.
It's
No, well, see, it's not.
I'm
See,
gonna continually refer to him as a semi choker until
no, no.
until he
I'm
shuts
gonna
me
say
up.
this though. I'm
Óyeme,
gonna say this about Tuca. He's never valued the international tournaments
I
as
think that's
much
bullshit, dude.
as
I think that's
no.
bullshit.
Well, I could
No le voy a
tell
discutir con usted.
how dare you, sir?
even going back to
He's
what it was like around '97 when they were inviting teams to Libertadores, and he straight turned it down. He was at Chivas, and he said, "We don't have a squad to compete. Thank you, but no." And he
That's what I'm
turned
saying.
down
So
the
that's
thing.
not really valuing. If anything, you're saying your team's not good enough. But I mean, in that particular instance, but
No, I'm just saying he's never given importance to him, and look, I think his gamble has paid off because he's the one coach that's never been fired.
I'd rather Tigres win LigaMX than champions, Conca champions.
Well, I personally want the Gonca Champions to be effing huge, to where it's like appointment viewing when it's on Wednesday nights in the late winter, early spring. So,
so you want to see Chivas lose?
I don't necessarily want to say Chivas lose, but I mean, I want these games to, I want it to, I want to see, Fox Sports Univision doing desk pieces live from Vancouver or from Kansas City or Torreon. It's because it's a
Or
huge
San Jose? I'm with you, dude.
Yeah, I mean
It'd be
that's what I
cool.
want this tournament to be. I want it to be as big as I want it to be and then you start sprinkling, a couple of like invite 2 South American teams, or or whatever it is, and just and then do like an exchange program where we send a couple of ours down to the. It has the potential to be this gigantically awesome tournament played in the great cities
I'll
of
be
North
honest
and
with you,
Central
John.
America.
I've liked every version of this competition.
Yeah, I mean,
I like it. I like. It's like, you know what? It's this is our region, however shitty it may be, but this is our region. So what, man? Like, I like, it's a different kind of game for sure, especially when you're playing some of these smaller teams. They're doing what they can, so the games get a little bit sloppy. They get a little ugly. I I don't know, man. Like, I dig it. This is our area. This is what we should be playing. This is what we play. So, like, yeah, I'm with you. I want to see the teams get better so that the competition just.
You want to see Cibao and Tauro play? I understand the MLS.
I like watching all those teams, dude. I
My
don't get a
only
chance to see
hesitation-
hey
them.
man,
I think
my
it's
only
fun.
this is
the
watching
best round of
I'm not a
16 game
snob,
was
dude. I'm not a snob like you.
the best round of 16 game was the Cibao Chivas game in Cibao. And
It's
that
not
was
snobbery. It's
entertaining as
it's
hell.
it's the desire to watch quality soccer.
But the only way you're going to get the quality soccer, Cheekies, I agree with you. But they have to play. They have to play each other and make each other better. It's the only way.
let them do that. But this whole tournament to me is just as valuable as Superliga was back in the day. I think Superliga was when Donovan missed that penalty against what's that dude, Miguel from Pachuca,
Calero.
Yeah.
Galero.
Miguel Calero.
That Superliga? That wasn't Conca Champions, was it? So that even
It might have been Interliga. I don't even know.
No, it was Superliga. It was Superliga.
Superliga. Okay.
even that small tournament was great just because of LigaMX versus MLS and MLS getting humiliated in the end. That's why I'm watching this tournament. And if MLS actually beats all 3 of the LigaMX teams, then I'll just be sitting back here laughing as well because of the favorite loss.
Well, watching.
Why do you want to watch MLS get humiliated, Cheekies?
Because it's the rivalry. It's like when Johnny Rico was tweeting out today. He wants to see Chivas lose to Cibao. He wants to see Chivas get the most humiliated, elimination ever, and that's the rivalry. That's what you.
I'm with you, Beto. I'm petty. I want to see.
That's my main interest in Conca Champions. Right?
When I'm watching these competitions, yeah, and they're going up against a Mexican team. Yeah, it's the rivalry, and even if they were playing a Central American team or a Caribbean team, I'd be laughing at the MLS team losing. I can't lie. I take a lot of pleasure in even if I don't even catch the game, but if I see like a surprising scoreline, yeah, I can't help but laugh.
It's not Major League Soccer for you as much as it is Major League Schadenfreude.
I think it's just mostly U.S. Mexico, kind of just in soccer terms. It's like, yeah,
I'm not
like
gonna lie.
I
I
can't.
felt that way in the past, and there are moments. Obviously, if it's LigaMX, the league that I grew up watching in MLS, I'm gonna root for the LigaMX side to win, and hopefully in a good match. And the fan in me says that, but I also want to see this tournament grow, and I think that the only way that happens is for MLS sides to start winning at junctures like this, and then when I'm not saying that, but eventually it will happen, and it's going to
The
happen on a more
logical
consistent
side, John.
basis.
The logical side, yeah, I agree with you. Like for the betterment of everyone concerned, yeah, it would behoove everybody for everybody to get better, no doubt. But I'm still a fan, and when it comes down to it, it's funny, and just to go back to like Beto's point earlier, like sports is where we get to be our most pettiest versions of ourselves, and we take pleasure in seeing the teams that we don't like lose. Like, I mean, I'm not a anti Chiva. I kind of defense can get a little bit annoying, so I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I took some pleasure in seeing them lose. I was rooting for them, but when they ended up losing, it it caused it made me laugh.
Can I share something that's been dogging me for going on? I guess it's going on almost at least, well, I guess about a month or so. Is the freaking Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl win, man? I can't take it. As a Cowboy fan, I can't take it. I can't take it. It's been
You hate them more than the Skins and
heavens, absolutely,
okay.
absolutely, man. But it's not really the Philadelphia Eagles themselves as much as it is Philadelphia Eagles fans, and not all of them. I know the Eagles have great fans. I've met normal people that just happen to be Eagles fans. They do
exist. Philly, man.
But no, I just find their fans to be not necessarily obnoxious, but to the point of just being mean, and because of that, I've just relished them. I wanted to just like I say to get this far and just lose and just be humiliated in the whole bit, but it didn't happen. So yeah, it's something I haven't quite come to terms with. Hopefully, it'll happen at some point in the summer.
That's interesting, John. I've always wondered about that little because it seems like that's they all kind of hate each other in that whole little group of teams.
It is. I mean, I think you can say that about any of those divisions, but it's funny because the team that I hate the least out of those of all two are the Redskins, just because I think that there's a lot of respect there. But the Eagles and Giants, no mind says that I can't deal with either of that. But the Eagles worse. It's rough.
All right.
It's rough, but that's a topic that I could. That I think that Joel and I are a lot alike when it comes to the way that he views his Chivas and I view the Cowboys. I think that I'm the one who's whipping myself watching Cowboy games because it's
mostly pain.
Yeah, it is. It is
mostly hurt.
Pain. Yes.
Hey, well, you got to enjoy that '90s Cowboys. So
we did, and that was a lot of fun. I got to enjoy the '70s Cowboys, a lot of the '70s Cowboys too. So I got to see both in my lifetime, and they were both really, really, really fun to watch. Very entertaining.
Now you have the Raiders.
See, not just, just because it just doesn't seem I have to do this just because it's just rough. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's been a rough month with this Eagles thing, so I have to put sad music to make fun of myself for being so somber about the whole thing. So
you're not happy with Chucky coming back to the sidelines?
Oh, I don't care about him.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, usually when guys take a few years off like that and they come back, it's not necessarily the same. Maybe things will be different for him.
He'll suck.
It's like that scene in
It's like that in every sport, John. You don't the game passes you.
But you know
It
what, this
leaves you
guy,
behind.
he probably had more access to tape, of different teams, different tactics than he did as a coach. So I think that break might be giving him an edge, at least to know how everybody else plays and know their.
Am I sensing, Juan, that
Oh, he's a fan.
you're a card
Oh,
carrying member of the Silver and Black?
man, you know what? I mean, I was very upset. I mean, violently upset when the tuck bowl, the tuck rule, when the Raiders lost because
That was that. That's the that is easily the worst call I've ever seen.
Easily the most correct call ever made.
I mean, it
Easily.
was correct because they changed it the
It was a
next season,
terrible
right?
rule. Yeah, you're right. It was a correct call. Terrible rule. Just terrible.
But it was still heartbreaking because
It's so funny, man. I actually remember that I remember exactly where I was, who I was watching with, how happy I was, how much I celebrated for hours and hours and hours afterwards.
Dan,
Oh man,
I'm not gonna lie. You are bringing the heat tonight, my friend.
it's just funny, dude. Like, there's very few teams that like U.S. men's
obnoxious.
NT Raiders. Man, those two teams, like, yeah, man, fuck them, dude, twice.
So you're a Chargers fan?
No, dude, no. I was actually a 49er fan for the longest time. I can't call myself still a fan because I haven't watched a game in a couple years. So I've kind of lost interest in football now. But yeah, up until a couple years ago, I was a 49er fan. I grew up watching Joe Montana, who I had the pleasure of meeting once.
Did you ever?
Yeah,
Did you wash your hand? Did you wash your hand after you met him, or did
he
you hold it?
actually offered me a drink, and I had left the restaurant. I approached him. I was collecting my last paycheck at a restaurant I was working at in Marino Del Rey. And as I was picking it up, my buddy calls me up. He's like, "Dude, Joe Montana's here, dude." I was like, "You have to come down here now. You have to hurry." So I drove over there, picked up my check, and, like, sheepishly, like a little kid, all nervous, approached him and introduced myself and just told him, what a hero he was when I was a kid. It was just like, it's, blah, blah, blah. Like, really pathetic showing for an adult man. And
Don't act like you're not impressed.
That's impressive. Now we probably should probably put a button on this.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
I would want to. I'm sure Joel has if he's still driving, he will have fallen asleep, and I don't want him to have an accident on the 405.
Well, let me just wrap this up real quick, John, though.
Yes.
So, as I walk away, my buddy, on my behalf, gave him something, I forget, and then he's like, "Oh man, bring him back, dude." He's like, "I want to thank him. Like, I wanted, like, let me, like, take a picture or something with him. Like, that's the least I can do." But I had already left. Anyways, we can proceed.
Hey, I think Jolie's good because he's got his John Cena cardboard cutout with a surprise look. Right?
Oh, for his ride down the 405.
Yeah, his carpool.
Yeah. All right, so I wanted to jump into staying with CONCACAF because I think it's just really interesting what's happened this week. They had a rebrand. I don't know if y'all saw that. They have a new logo with distinct little parallelograms, I guess we could call those things, little diamonds that are each represent the 41 nations that are in CONCACAF. And they announced that they're going to start the CONCACAF Nations League, I believe is what the official name is. And they have it's set up just like the one that we talked about with the UEFA a few weeks ago, where they have 3 pots, and then the lower pots play into the upper pots, and vice versa. The upper pots lose into the upper pots lose into the lower pots. And the way it's going to work for the top shelf is that it's going to be a group of 3. So on a fecha FIFA, one team will always have will have a bye for the group stage of that. So there's still going to be an opportunity for teams to play friendlies outside of the tournament in this little setup. And again, it's designed to give the little minnows a chance to work their way up to the top. And frankly, I'm okay with it. I think it's Mexico, if they play in this tournament as far as Morelia, they're going to be playing Honduras, El Salvador, the U.S., Canada, Costa Rica, for the next couple of years. I mean, those are the teams that they'll be playing with the most in this thing, and then obviously we'll start with the Hex, etc. So, let the little island folks have a chance to play in something, and also work their way into playing to the Gold Cup stuff. I think it's I'm perfectly fine with it. I know, Chiquis, that you do not feel the same way I do.
Hey, John, question. Uh, is is there teams that automatically qualified? Because I know under Gold Cup, like U.S., Mexico, they're always in.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that they're ranked. The teams are ranked, and then it's the top teams. The CONCACAF. I think Joel posted this on Facebook. Maybe it was last week that the CONCACAF now has a ranking, and their teams that are ranked. Yeah, so the only way that Mexico can fall out of Pot A is if they lose, is as if they're relegated, so to speak, into Pot B.
Because I see the qualifiers starting in September of this year. But
Mexico doesn't play in this tournament until next year.
All right. So it's just basically the CONCACAF minnows trying to
exactly. Yeah, they're playing themselves into the tournament.
Which is, I guess that part didn't change from the Gold Cup to this.
No, but you're right though. They expanded it to include all. Like I said, it's just not just the UNCAF or the Caribbean Cup. It's they're all play each other. They'll have a couple of rounds of play. I guess they have a couple of rounds of play to see also where they stack up, etc. So
interesting, yeah.
And then of course they'll have some weeks where they'll be able to play. The problem with the friendlies though is that these other countries are going to be doing the same thing. So there's just not going to be that many opportunities. They certainly can't, play one in Mexico and then one in Europe. I mean, that's just not going to happen. So in that sense, they may lose out on some opportunities. But otherwise, they'll, who are we kidding ourselves? As if Mexico would play. They might have one friendly every 2 years in Europe. They're playing everything in the States. Let's not kid ourselves. So they'll still be able to do that.
Yeah, I think the most I've ever seen Mexico play in Europe is when because they have the World Cup is there and they.
Right, they do a little 2 or 3 games, which I'm sure they'll do again.
Yeah. So, hey, John. So I guess this kind of affects Mexico's participation or possible participation in Copa America next year as well, right?
No, I don't think so, because I think that they're only doing this during Fecha FIFA. I mean, this isn't like an outside tournament. This is a Fecha FIFA way of playing. Making sure the teams stay in the region, basically.
Oh, okay. I see here. So 40 teams will be in,
right?
And then the championship is March 2020, and the group phase is September to November. So we don't get 2 Gold Cups per cycle anymore.
Don't think that's not still going to happen.
So one would be Liga Nations, the other one would be.
Yeah, but again, the Liga Nations they're only going to play that during Fecha FIFA. So
all right.
Yeah, so they're not carving out any other part of the schedule to do this.
Mexico can always play Iceland and Wales.
Hey, Iceland should be thankful to Mexico for as many friendlies as they've played over the years. The Moleros paid off for the Icelandics, the Vikingos. Joel, did you fall asleep? Are you back with us now that we're back talking footy instead of pointy ball, as you like to call it? I don't think Joel is.
I'm back. I'm back, John.
He's back.
I am back.
We didn't put you to sleep.
I was listening. No, I'm just running some errands.
So we didn't put you to sleep.
I was listening to the...
I think our friend of the show, Sergio, was enjoying the Raider talk though.
Is he a Raider hater, or is he
No, he strikes me as a Raider fan.
Que me llaman para atrás y luego me cortan.
Sorry.
Because I thought Jolie was
I
checking
wanted to
the
take a
Laker
peek.
game
I
highlights.
took a peek at the chat to see what the people were talking about.
Search is long overdue to be in the show. He's
Really? Well, Sergio
Americanista, man.
He's a friend of the show.
Yeah.
He
I'm gonna more than likely drink with him tomorrow. So I'm happy. I'm happy he's gonna be making the drive from
we
Orange
should.
County tomorrow.
And a resident Americanista has been MIA. And it's surprising because they're doing good.
I think because of that, I think that we should just to. I play that as much for Ron as I do for Hoyt. I hope you don't mind, Hoyt.
I actually rather
you know what,
enjoy it,
America,
but I like the if you could somehow mix in the sound of the eagle at the end or something.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Like maybe make a custom one.
Oh, I see. Like edit it together.
Yeah, like where you could just like like a llega and then.
Oh, see, I did. I do when I do play that clip, Dan. I do pot up the eagle there at the. I don't know if you noticed that, but I always bring it up just so that it's audible.
Hey, I read somewhere that Sevilla was thinking of adopting that Parchis anthem as well, modifying it to fit their, since
it does make sense because
that would be cool.
Was a Spanish band, so I'm not sure exactly where they were from.
No, and America took their anthem, right? So.
Well, America had the anthem, but when Parchis came over in the I mean, it was like the. No,
British I'm saying their new song that they came up with. I think it was a ripoff of the Sevilla.
Total ripoff, yeah.
So it'll be kind of cool that they can swap songs. They can be like sister clubs.
Sevilla doesn't have enough syllables. You have to say Sevilla. I mean, like you're missing one.
Oh yeah.
Syllable. So it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Well, we would love for Serge to come on, have a little.
If they said Sevilla Football Club,
that's a mouthful. Sevilla Football Club.
Sevilla FC.
I mean, I guess I could kind of work it, but just.
Hey, so one of the guys on YouTube has a question. Firm 65. He's asking if there's a league coefficient for the CONCACAF Champions League now, similar to
like a porcentaje.
UEFA. Yeah, like if all the let's say
league rankings.
Yeah, the league coefficient where the champion from let's say from Mexico gets a higher coefficient because they're.
I don't know, but I would guess that there isn't, because I believe that for the longest time, Costa Rican teams were vastly outperforming MLS clubs, at least for a while, where the MLS representation still outnumbered the Costa Rican, but I could be wrong, but I don't think it's been necessarily used. I think it's been a mixture of maybe merit and kind of like where the money is.
Well, here's the. I think Costa Rica gets 3 teams in, and MLS gets 4. But then they have the Canada thing, so they really get 5. Well, MLS gets 5 teams in this tournament. 4 American teams and 1 Canadian team.
Yeah, and I guess based on results, I and that might be changing now because it does seem like MLS teams are starting to bet. But I do think for a while it seemed like the Costa Rican teams were getting the short end of that deal. It just seemed like they probably deserved, based on their performance, because they typically would go farther in the competition. So, but I could be wrong.
I mean, there's no. I mean, there were times where MLS wouldn't even make it to the quarterfinals from the group stage. I mean, this time they advanced. They didn't start the tournament until the quarterfinals, so they've been given every opportunity.
It is funny though, right? Like the opportunities that the MLS sides have gotten, yet the league as a whole, they're very much like Tuca, where they don't really respect the competition all that much. I mean, if this was a competition they really wanted to win, they would somehow find a way to start their season earlier. to give their teams a legitimate chance of winning it.
Right. I mean, it's not just that, but they also, I think the MLS, heavily lobbied, as well as Mexico, to not even have them play the first round. I mean, for MLS particularly, because that's when their season's winding down, and there are teams that are in a playoff push that have to make a 9-hour trip. I mean, who wants to do that? Midweek to go to some place where it's 90 degrees and 90% humidity, especially in the summer. That certainly was not something that they were once. I mean, a lot that they're in the middle of a playoff chase. So, for them to not have to worry about that and to have this, as the only thing. I mean, you're right, Dan. I mean, at the very least, have a little, of the 4 teams that are playing. Like I said, do a preseason quadrangular where you all play each other and then have a final. So somebody gets 4 games out of the deal. And in good, against good competition.
Hey, John. I guess I misunderstood the listener's question. They're asking for a league ranking, as in which is the best league in CONCACAF. But I don't think that.
Oh, the best league is
exists.
Mexico.
Yeah, I guess he's asking for a formal ranking, though, if there is one within CONCACAF.
No, I don't think that they rank the leagues. I know that they started ranking the national teams. That just came out last week, because I know that Joel posted that on our Facebook page. But as far as leagues, I don't think that there is any kind of coefficient or ranking for that, specifically. But I do think, to Dan's point, that there should be, because I mean, here's one that the winner of the Copa MX, Super Copa MX that they play in the summer. Why doesn't that earn them a chance to play in the group stage of the Champions? I think a 5th Mexican team deserves that chance to make it through. So why not give Copa MX that way they can dangle a carrot in front of the teams that are in Copa MX right now.
Well, yeah, based on merit, it's without question Mexico probably have 6 teams in it, but so obviously they're trying to. I'm not going to say drag along. That sounds terrible, but that's what came to mind. But like, I do feel like that's on some level how MLS is being treated. It's like, can you just help us get better? Because this is where the future is, kind of thing. Where they kind of shunned Costa Rica a little bit, but that's honestly, like, I guess how I saw it at the time, because it just seemed. But now, I for all this talk that you were talking about, how you want to make these teams, how you want to make these regions better. How about everybody get on the same calendar?
Yeah, you know what, Dan? I kind of have an opinion on the way they structured this Champions League, and somebody else has a question. It kind of segs into what you were saying about the future of the leagues, but yeah, I think the way they set it up is to make MLS more attractive to their own viewers, because so I guess it is to set up ratings for MLS teams, because they have them meeting the Mexican clubs, which they seem to match up better, because they're the underdogs than compared if they were going to play the Central American clubs, where they would be more of the favorite and they'd have to come out and play, But somebody had a question: is where do they see LigaMX and MLS 20 years from now?
Where do I see them 20 years? I think that they'll be personally. I think that they'll be in some form of more of a partnership than they are now. I think that they'll probably have a combined one-off tournament that they'll play every year, and I think it'll be massive. And I see them competing for the same players over the next 20 years, and some teams in one league will win, and some teams the other league will win. I think that they'll be very competitive.
Do you think it's going to be a much more balanced? The leagues are going to be much more balanced as far as compared to each other. I have trouble seeing the
eventually, I
difference.
think it will happen. I think eventually, but I think that the playing styles will be different. But I do think that
You can't see me. You can't see me right now, John. But I'm shaking my head. I'm shaking my head like
like
no,
no chance.
no, not that there's no chance. But I'm like, I guess I've been hearing this for an awful long time about the gaps closing and about. But like until I see it, then I'm gonna remain skeptical and I'm
Well,
gonna say
how do
that
you find the gap closing like that they win consistently?
no, that they win and
So
that they
so
start winning and that they kind of
yeah,
like that where it's not a foregone conclusion.
okay.
Where like if you were to put money in Vegas, like because I'm pretty sure
Well,
that
do you see it as a foregone conclusion? These three games, any of them?
for the most part, yeah. I have like I said, I personally have serious. I can't see Tigres not winning, not going through. Um, Now, do I think Chivas can lose? Yeah, but keep in mind this is the 17th team on the table right now, so they're playing like shit. So yeah, I could see them losing. Cholos, yeah, they're actually doing. They're higher in the table, but their current form tells me that they would be. So them losing doesn't exactly surprise me. But like but Tigres and America, I don't see anyone getting touching them. It's going to be one of those two teams. The only teams that can knock them out is another LigaMX team, LigaMX side.
Right.
That's how I see it.
So the only way that either Tigres or America doesn't win, I mean, the only team
And I don't know how the
that
tables
can give
work out,
them.
but yeah, I
Well,
don't
they're
think
on the
any.
same side of the bracket, so they'll play each other in the semis
Okay.
if they both.
You know what? I think Dan's right that that Chivas and Cholos could very well lose, and there's the distant possibility that Tigres could lose, so that could change the whole uh the gap is closing because
Oh man, if they take out Tigres, that'll be a pretty good statement.
you know what the guys the stats guys soccer nerds I guess he's got some data that he's gonna be releasing where he was kind of implying that the gap closed or it's closer than before.
Well, of course, it's
Everybody's
closer than it was before. I mean, that's by
well, right.
definition, the gap is
Yeah,
closer.
but he's let me see, where's he put out the
Man,
I don't know, he put out some
looking at those numbers is like reading a super long article. It's like too long, didn't read.
yeah. I mean,
I
you
can't pay
gotta
attention
understand
to all those
the data
dots
that
and
they're
all that stuff.
I wish Joel would come on, because he's kind of got a good grasp of it, and you
Yeah.
guys maybe try to get him in here and explain what the hell they're talking about. Bunch of nerds.
But that's like going into the weeds of stuff, man. The gap has to, like, if all three of the MLS teams win, that's where you can talk about the gap closing and stuff. And I think that would actually, like, it sort of goes to where Mexico getting eliminated the last World Cup. If that were to happen, I would be sort of not happy, but I would be like, take that Liga or take that Mexican Federation. What are you going to do to fix what's going wrong? And the same with Liga MX, Pacto de Caballeros and all this stuff. If all these Liga MX
Do you
teams,
guys honestly believe that if they lose to MLS, that they're going to have like some sort of earth-shattering
Well,
revelation? Oh my God, we're
well,
doing
I, I
something
I
wrong.
actually have another
not a
question too, though, John.
revelation,
Like, do you
light a
really
fire.
think do you think a Liga MX team losing to an MLS team is indicative of something going wrong, or maybe they're just doing something right?
You guys,
Maybe,
it's not as if this hasn't happened before.
well, if the MLS wins a couple, knocks them out a few, let's say they win this year and the next couple of years,
No, well,
then
I'm
maybe,
saying lift the trophy. Lift the trophy once,
yeah. That's
do
what I
at
mean.
least once.
Let's say
I'm
they
like,
lift the
until
next
then, I
three,
can't
four
take it
trophies.
seriously.
Well, if they were to lift the next 3 to 4 trophies, then maybe they finally arrived on the scene, and maybe there's more money in there for the Mexican clubs to take it more seriously. I mean, is that
Well,
that's
I
the only
think
way I
them
see
winning
it.
it once is enough. We're like, all right, they've clearly caught up enough to a point where they can actually lift the trophy, and represent the region. So I think Yeah, that's essentially, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm not just totally trying to be dismissive, but I'm like, I need to see it first, and then we can talk
Well,
about like, oh,
do you think
okay,
it'll happen between now and the next 20 years?
I'm gonna say
I think they'll get one.
in 20 years, yeah. In
Okay.
20 years, yes.
In the next, okay, it's like Price is Right. In the next 10 years, what happened in the next 10 years?
Well, they've won two, haven't they?
No, they
DC
haven't.
United won it in
DC
98.
United won one. Yeah,
And
but they haven't
Galaxy
won
won
one
it
in the most recent incarnation since 2008. Will they do it within 10 years, Dave? 10 years. 10
Within
years
10 years,
number.
I'd say it's possible. It's just that the way they lose in Mexico, that's what like is. I'm like, man, these teams are far away, man.
The
Like
winning
you don't.
percentage in Mexico is like they've won, I think, 2 or 3 times out of like 28.
And the way they lose too, like most of the times are really lopsided. Like you see like sixes, like 6 to something, 5 to something. Like sometimes, So
Not recently,
when
though. Not recently.
really, it just seems. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
It 3-1, 2-1, stuff like that. I would say. Like the Pachuca, who'd they play? Yeah, Pachuca Dallas was sort of.
Yeah, it was 1-1 in Dallas and then 2-1 in Pachuca.
Yeah, it wasn't too much. Even though I think Chucky
Yeah,
scored.
yeah. Maybe things have changed recently, but I just the record still though is still pretty abysmal. So I mean, until they're able to put something together like that, and yeah, until then I'm going to remain very much a skeptic. Where I've been hearing the 10-year, 20-year. Let's just add another 10
Yeah,
years to this.
but those numbers were
they
never
won
really
two.
realistic, though.
They won two,
That's old. That's
in the,
irrelevant, though, man.
Was it DC United and LA Galaxy, or are they the 2 teams that won?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's the two. I mean,
you're
they haven't
telling me
won
that.
it in like
Well, I'll put it to you like this,
17 years.
John. You asked me, do I see it happening in 10 years? But have you seen the team? Do you think the teams have improved that much, or there's that much of a difference in the last 20 years?
Between
I don't think
in the
so.
last 20 years, from 2008 or from
there's been
1998
really.
to now, absolutely, there's massive.
I don't think so.
Oh, come
I
on,
mean,
dude.
some of these teams in MLS, like when Bob Bradley was coaching Chivas, USA, that was a pretty decent squad. That was a decent team. There's been pretty good, decent teams prior, like that could easily challenge plenty of LigaMX sides. But as a whole, for one team to actually lift a trophy, that's what hasn't happened. Like there's been good teams coming through already. There's been better players. It's not like it's been like this linear improvement where the teams are just continually just getting better, better.
The thing is that I mean, but how many of those teams are there now? And I think that's what you have to look at to see if the league is improving. How from top to bottom is the league. And as far as something, I mean, I mean, 20
and
years
top to
ago,
bottom, yeah, I
was
actually think it's probably
unwatchable. I mean, it was bad.
I would guess that the top to bottom, the quality might be maybe even getting diminished.
Oh dang!
Just because of expansion.
Yeah, which is again why I don't want to sound like a broken record by saying this.
I think MLS has been improving slightly, but I think they've been improving because they're attracting more like older European players and then more higher quality South American players.
Younger players. I think they're recruiting a lot better younger players that aren't completely over the hill.
If they beat out LigaMX teams on those South Americans or those younger and better quality, even Central American players like Panamanian players and Honduras players, if they beat LigaMX teams out for those players, that's when they'll start beating LigaMX teams in these games, and not necessarily.
That's honestly the biggest issue.
Like the Ronaldo, like you were saying, John. Like if they start bringing in the youth Mexican players, that's when their quality is going to go down. That's when they're going to keep on.
One thing I don't know if it's really
Mexican players.
Totally on topic, but I was kind of wondering. I was like, I wonder if Jovinko and like Gignac are looking at each other Like if they got like a little rivalry thing amongst themselves, like as being like the European stars, I guess.
El top euro.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You guys were speaking of the MLS quality. I watched like the first 20 minutes of the Atlanta, the Tata Martino team versus Houston Dynamo, and what drew me in was it was Tata Martino's team. So he's a coach with a pedigree, or at least supposed to be, and it was a disaster, man. I think they went down
4-0.
3-0. Yeah, but I mean, like in the first 20 minutes, they were already losing like 2-3-0, and it was just terrible. It was.
Ultimately, as Chiquis pointed out, MLS is going to get better when they attract the better serviceable South American players. When they start outbidding the LigaMX teams for those guys, for the like the Nico Castillo types, or even like a Johnny Taba. When they start getting those guys, then yeah, I think the playing field will be level. Will be a lot more level for sure. And is it going to happen in the next 20 years? Who knows? But I do think that eventually it will happen, and then that's going to take them a long way. As you guys said, I mean, they both have. They both are going to end up copying each other with things that the other one does well. And what Liga MX has done well for years is they've imported, good but not great. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, they're bringing in a lot of sevens and eights. The nines and tens are going to Europe, but a lot of sevens and eights. They've got a lot of.
So you think this? So you're saying that this mixing of ideas is a good thing?
Well, I mean, I honestly believe that I don't think Liga MX. Now, again, I don't live in Mexico, so I'm not sure what the ratings, et cetera, are down there, and I know that it's still big, but I do think that they are ultimately going to be joined at the hip, and that they're going to have a very symbiotic relationship.
Well, that the whole symbiotic thing, I can, yeah.
So if that's the case, then I want it to be as good as possible, and if it means that they can have. Tom Marshall over the past weekend, printed out the list of, these are as many Mexican players have been playing in Liga MX, and it was like 100, I think it was 100 Mexican players playing in Liga MX. I think was what the number was. So out of that 100, and the 20 or so that are in Mexico or that are playing in Europe, that is Mexico's player pool to pick 23 guys. That's it.
John, and this was a topic we've touched upon a few times last year in our gentleman's agreement that we haven't done one recently.
Right.
But yeah, it should be worrisome because that's a very low number, and also that, which is why I think a lot of fans shouldn't be so down when they see more and more players coming to MLS. Yeah, I know they want them to be in the top Euro teams, but
I think things would change though if it were players that were breaking into MLS sides and performing. I mean, I watched this LAFC match, or at least part of it. Vela looked really good. Look, man, if
he was in the mood for sure.
If players are going to be playing well and they're going to be developing, then I'm all for it.
I understand, but see, you don't start. They're not going to start from the bottom up. They're not going to get players to see if they turn out to be good. It's like when you see like La Liga or Serie A, and they go after so many Argentines. They're willing to go after so many because they already have a lot of the better ones that have already made their players marketable. All those teams have really good players. So getting a player from that country, it already seems like a good buy. Which is, I think, that's why some of the top Mexicans have to do really good in MLS, so that when the fans hear, oh, they're going after this young guy, they're more hopeful, because we pretty much
and it's
Mexican players have it. Huh?
and it's not just that, Joel. I mean, in addition to that is, if you're 19 and you have a couple of good years in playing for the new expansion Nashville team, or whatever it is, and some Benfica or PSV or whatever, comes calling, you're 21. Does it make a difference whether you leave from LigaMX or if you leave from MLS? I mean, isn't that the end goal? I mean, isn't it? I mean, with the
No,
way that the sport is now, that you want as many Mexicans
no,
as possible playing in
no,
Europe.
it doesn't at all, John. But still, we need like the Gios and the Velas, and we need them to leave a good impression.
Right.
To leave a good mark, so that the clubs are more willing to bring players. Not because other than that, they're just gonna go to the proven grounds, and go after third rate, fourth rate Argentine and Brazilians. When, as you said earlier, we're Liga MX, man, there's plenty of players there that the league has closed the doors to.
So who's better though, a third rate or fourth rate Argentina?
To me, they're the same.
No,
They're the same, but you want
a
your
player.
players, because the more playing time your players have, the greater the odds that some of those players are gonna end up doing, becoming better.
I know, but you're talking about a player who can't make it in Liga MX, so they go to MLS. If MLS is nearly the same level as Liga MX, why is MLS team going to want to play?
See, there's the thing. It's not like that they can't make it. It's just that it's very limited. It's very limited spaces. So a lot of them won't even. I mean, we've used the example of Oribe before. Oribe took him a while to get a fair shot, and he's one of the best Mexican strikers ever. And if he was probably coming up right now, he would have had an even more difficult chance.
Yeah, Oribe didn't become like a starter probably till he was 24, 25 maybe.
Yeah, and
later
that's
than
like
that, like
later than that, yeah, probably
27,
26.
28, yeah.
Hey,
That's incredible.
Could LAFC challenge the Mexican clubs for getting top players? Because from what I understand is they got the deepest pockets in all of the league, right? And they're willing to
oh yeah, they
show
got
them, right?
Vela.
Well, I
mean,
think I think MLS has a couple things going for them. They don't have the Mexican media, which the players hate. I think that's a one big thing. I think when they look at other guys like Gio and Jonah and now Vela enjoying life over here, stress free, you can still play whatever. MLS and just being over here is becoming more and more attractive, I think, to a lot of these players.
You can have a private life.
Yeah.
For now.
So, Juan, have you been partying with Giovanni Vela? Yeah.
Do you know where they live?
But I mean, I've been watching I haven't been watching. I've been keeping up with the Lakers, which I'm sure, Vela's probably been at every game, being the ball boy or something. But you know what? Gio's not up to snuff, man. He got subbed out early in his debut game.
This is his first game. First game. And we know Gio. Gio, like, it's he's not a guy that's going to give you like a full performance almost ever.
So can you imagine him?
He'll have the best preseason of his life, though. Best off season.
Running on sand isn't easy, Beto. Did you take a look at some of my Santos players training in the preseason in the dunes?
Oh no, I didn't.
Hardcore stuff, dude. You'd be impressed, dude. These were these super like steep dunes, and they were just mowing through them, dude.
Were they shirtless?
Yes, of course, dude. I mean, you can't You can't put in work like that with shirts, dude. You got to go shirtless, dude. Under that harsh Durango, Coahuila sun.
What was their scrimmage top versus bottoms?
What the?
What?
Like skins versus shirts or something?
It's
Oh,
skin
yeah.
versus shirts. Yes,
That's what I
Skin
meant.
versus-
Yeah.
Like they're running around with their tops off. Their tops off or their bottoms off.
I'm like, I don't know, man. That's not how we chose teams. But okay.
So, Joel, I wanted to ask you. So, you live 3 blocks from LAFC's new stadium, and now you've gone down to OC. So, what are you, like an hour away now?
I am, but my brother lives. I live about 10 minutes, and my brother lives much closer. So I'm gonna still be able to park in front of his house and then walk to the stadium.
He'll only charge you $10 instead of 20. You get the family discount.
I think they charge up to 50 now, John.
Yeah, you and I paid 50 right now in front. So yeah.
Yeah. John's being modest. He actually paid. He took out his wallet and he just.
I think I said F it and gave the guy the money.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's the one thing where I was like, oh man, I would have liked to have been super close. But I'm still glad the team is there. I think 2 teams in LA is potential for rivalry. And like I was telling some of these guys, there's already going to be 3 Mexicans on the field. I expect there will be more. I'm thinking after the World Cup, they might bring in maybe
Andres and
Guardado,
Cheech.
or someone. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I was looking up that I guess Cheech and Guardado, they can't end up on the same team as Vela or Gio, because I don't know, I don't understand the rules, but I guess their rights are owned by other teams already, unless they would have to be traded or
Don't they do
something.
like trades? Yeah,
Darwin's supposed to go to MLS too, right? I think he might attract some. At least I'd be. I mean, maybe I'm just wearing my Santos hat right now, but where I think he'd be an attractive signing for MLS.
MLS would do him a world of good, I think.
or
You know
he
what?
might go back
They
to
got like
Santos while America takes Di Giannini. Dan les entregaron un Ferrari y les devolvieron un bocho.
That's right.
I'm a realist.
You know what?
That's
Santos
very
likes
much a
doing that though,
possibility.
right? Remember when Chivas was trying to sign Oribe, they gave him to America, you know?
No, actually, Chivas turned down the offer because Oribe actually played for Chivas during Libertadores. He was one of the refuerzos.
They were in for
And
him when he went to America. They were trying to.
I know, but at that point, Chivas already had him in the squad, and he played. He wore the jersey. They could have bought him if they wanted to at that point.
I mean, he was having a resurgence at that point. That's when he moved to America. But I clearly remember Chivas.
Resurgence, dude. Once he started playing for Santos, dude, he was a star.
Well, him and Hercules Gomez, they had a resurgence there. They weren't, they had breakout seasons there with because I guess they had that Catalan working with the first team.
But you know what? Iraragorri, he's on record, and he said that Vergara never really made much of an effort. He said America came in, they dropped.
No lo quiero, por feo. That's what he said.
Yeah, America made the offer. Chivas never really made much of a fight. So, and also I think overall
didn't Uribe come up through didn't he play for Chivas at one point?
For Libertadores.
Yeah.
He was one of the refuerzos. Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying at that point the club could have signed them, and I guess they figured that he wasn't good enough.
Yeah, they chose not to. Dude, wouldn't you take him now? Wouldn't you even take him now? I'm half trolling people on Big Soccer, but I'm letting them. I was like, man, you guys should be going over here. You guys should just be breaking the bank to sign this guy right now. You need goals. even if it's a 35-year-old. I mean, hell, you're holding on to a much lesser striker in Bravo for the longest time. Shit,
And there's
man.
rumors that he might come back.
Oh, you're gonna upset Jolie.
There were
No,
some rumors. I don't think so, but they were there.
that'd be rough, dude. But I mean, Oribe, I think would improve the team dramatically. And he fixes that whole thing that Pulido was talking about, like if someone with balls, someone that's actually gonna like lead the team and tell everyone's like, we're gonna win this. We got this.
Dan is sounding like a Chiva hermano right now. This is Raya's move.
I'm an Oribe believer, dude.
Changing from green to red.
And the truth is that Oribe looks like he's getting slowly faded, like getting moved to the side.
But I think America recently gave him a contract. I think they gave him a nice bonus.
I'll tell you what, that goal that Oribe scored against Chivas over the weekend, I think booked him a spot onto the World Cup team.
But John, a fun
if
fact
there was doubt, I agree with you, man. If there was any doubt about whether or not to include him,
5 out of the last 8 goals that America has scored on Chivas have been from Oribe.
John, thank you for bringing that up because Dan's mentioning that he's lost a step, but I mean he looked like. Well, I mean, Alanis looked like he was freaking lost on that play too. So he kind of, but I mean, it was a nice play.
Oh, dude, you can't blame Alanis for Oribe doing a media vuelta going the other way. I mean, that was just, on his off foot. It was that. I mean, that is the very definition of a. I don't throw the golazo terms.
I know.
Very often. He makes it look
easy. John, he makes it look so easy. We think we could do it.
When did golazo become so cheap?
He looked like Cannavaro eating that recorte by Chicharito, man.
Univision. You mean that dude, Pablo, what's his name?
Well, they're all guilty, man. They're all guilty on some level.
Come on, man. It's not a golazo. The golazo is almost sacred. You call something a golazo when it's something that you've never seen. I mean, sometimes a golazo from a great pass. That's a golazo. Oh, the pass was outstanding. I think of Junior's goal in against Argentina in the World Cup in Spain. He scored the third goal when they beat him 3-1, and he didn't do it. I mean, he didn't do anything other than just like put it in the corner. But the pass went through like 4 Argentines, just waited beautifully, caught him. After a 40-yard run, it just perfectly in stride, and he just pops it. I mean, that's a golazo.
The golazo, your team, dude, Pumas Atlas. Was it Pumas? Who was it? Where they combined and he did the dummy and he was on a counter.
Oh yeah. That was
that was a freaking goal. Like I screamed it out loud, like, "Oh my god, that was just perfect!"
Oh yeah, where the guy just let the ball go between his legs.
Yeah, and then he just kept on going and kept the run on, and then just it was just a thing of beauty, man. I was like, man, I could just watch that over and over again.
Those were the good old days of the early part of the season.
Also, that was 3 weeks ago. That's hilarious.
I don't know if you guys watch Super Campeones, but that show had a lot of golazos.
Well, I used to like that, and then also that show that Ron and I used to watch, the tiny little news bit on the Galavisión that would show the Mexican national news, and they would have the sports segment, and they would do like colección privada and stuff, where they'd show you, golazo. Here's the best, tiros libres and the Cruz Azul Atlas series. They show you 10 just outstanding, crazy good goals because they have the whole, have the whole catalog.
You know what? I used to love that show, Super Campeones. I would watch it, but I think there was like one golazo in the whole series, right? Because like every episode, the ball moved like 5 feet, right?
But I mean, do you get your kids to practice Huracán en el Viento? That's from the Coyote twins when one of them drops to the ground and then the second one jumps, and with his feet he propels them further up in the air.
No, we haven't gotten to that one.
Did you guys ever watch Cometa, or am I dating myself?
Yeah, you're dating. I think Ron would know though.
You know what I'm talking about?
And I'm thinking maybe
Cometa
something
won.
from Canal 13 or something.
No, it was on Canal Cinco. It was dubbed. It was a Japanese show that was dubbed in Spanish, and Cometa was I think the housekeeper. There was these two kids, Takeshi and Koshi, and it was just a very weird little show.
I was watching Massinger Z, John.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh, that was
It's like a
awesome.
Voltron type looking
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I used to.
robot.
Okay, I used to watch Ultron. Yeah, okay.
Or if Dan doesn't get it, it's like Power Rangers, Dan, but like for the '80s kids.
What are you? Why are you trying to insult me, dude? What the fuck, dude? Come on.
No,
I'm probably older than you. I'm 39.
Oh, same
I
age.
have Voltron. Power Rangers. Come on.
My bad, dude.
Power Rangers.
Man,
All
I'm
right.
telling you, Dan is just
Maybe
That's
maybe
Really
Rigoberto.
Russell.
just bringing it tonight.
Maybe if Rigoberto, maybe Rigoberto's he's
He's
a younger
the
guy. He might be
Disney
a Power
XD
Rangers guy.
generation.
Honestly, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. So
You don't remember Voltron?
no.
Was that after your?
After my cartoon watching days,
Yeah.
when I was a really young, I had an
No,
old.
Voltron was legit, dude. I got die cast for the geeks here, Joel. I still have a die cast at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Set of the whole set. It's like
You won't let your kids touch it?
no. Well, it's missing pieces, dude. But the actual all the lines or whatever, they're all intact and in good shape.
Yeah, man, those toys cost a lot of money now.
I don't know. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I mean, y'all are just sitting there talking about the stuff, and I'm just.
It's like
Nothing.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it
I got
Grimdark from
inspired because
Transformers?
I got accused because I really hated the Power Rangers as a kid. It was after I was already older and I found it
Power
annoying.
Rangers
I'm like, what
were
is this Power
90s,
Ranger stuff?
like early 90s.
Yeah, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, and it's a ripoff of Voltron. Like, I resented it. So I got a little rustled when I got accused of being a fan. I was like, wait a
Well,
minute now.
isn't the Power Rangers just a knockoff of the old anime series, the G-Force?
Yeah, well, that's where they came from.
Power
But the
Rangers.
whole color schemes and it was very Voltron esque.
They're lame, man. Power Rangers. are lame.
Robotech.
I guess I'm just a Bugs Bunny guy, so I never got into that stuff.
You were into the
those
violent cartoons, huh?
those are still good though, man.
The black and white Mickey Mouse, is that one too?
Some of those are pretty funny.
They are good actually. if you
I
go back and watch them.
had a professor in college who would have every year would do a little animated film festival, and one of the years I went at the Porky. I don't know if you've ever seen the Porky where he's trying to say son of a, and he ends up saying son of a gun. He goes, oh, you guys thought I was going to say son of a bitch, and of course the place goes nuts. This isn't that lady, and then this mom had like her 6-year-old whatever, and she picked and laughed. It's like, geez, just from that one word, and the rest of it was just fantastic. Yeah, but some of those old black and white cartoons are interesting to say the least. I'm a big fan of the Tex Avery cartoons. Those are still just timeless classics. He did like not necessarily droopy, but just that vein of cartoon. Good stuff. Well, John, we should probably wrap it up with I think we've had just a very good and animated discussion about the Conca. For folks that don't think the Conca Champions really means that much, we spent like an hour and a half on it tonight. So just wanted to point that out. But anyway, we should probably wrap it up with the with what is actually going on in LigaMX coming up this week. We didn't even talk about Coca Champions dominant so much. We didn't even talk about the class. At least not while I was on the Clásico. Did y'all?
Yeah, I did mention that America struggled to beat Chivas, and they didn't look like the better team.
Who did look like the better team? America? What a shock!
Yeah, I mean for
Yeah,
being
but
second place in
every
the league.
game, win or lose, I mean, you think that Guadalajara's performance is. I mean, just want to rip it
Well,
when the game's
I mean,
over from your back porch.
hey, you know what? I mean, for being a big club, second place in the Mexican League, they played like football ratonero.
And I'm
They
shocked that the both of you, being Chivas fans that you are, that whenever, and of course it hasn't happened very often, so I get it. But when Chivas wins, at least I mean maybe do it on your super secret Chivas chat that, that y'all have. But I mean, I would think that a Chivas win would at least have some sort of symbolic gif other than goats jumping around. I mean, you gotta like drop a a chant hitting his signature note or something like that. I mean, that would be a you wouldn't have to say anything else. It would just be perfect. Then you guys need to get creative on your Chivas victory proclamations. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I will admit, anytime they score a goal, the phrase you will hear if you're near me, especially in my domain, it will be a huevo cabrones,
Yeah.
but a
So
little
you
bit
you, you
more
don't get
enthusiastic.
on your back porch and just give a no. You don't do that. You should.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Juan, it sounded like you're Russell because America was hacking you guys. You didn't like the physical play.
No, I mean they were hacking. I wasn't Russell. It's just, I mean, for being a big team, they played like a little team, you know.
But didn't you say that you were about to fight a opposing coach on your team because he said you guys were hacking? Is that am
No,
I
no, they
right?
were hacking us.
Oh, they're hacking you.
No, I
Were,
wasn't gonna.
were you
They
were
they
you were you and
so what
Piojo
happened
gonna
was,
get after it?
no, it took the coach and his assistant or his two assistants. They came over to my side of the field to talk smack, and the ref had it like
This was during one of your
I
like
guess
6-year-old games.
yeah, it was like they were 10 years old. It's just they're that other team had more colmillo, so they were losing, and their players, they have a little bit more colmillo, a little bit more cancheros. So these guys they're still green to that. So I mean, it was a good experience for them, and I was telling them, hey, you gotta match their intensity and their what did Jolie call it, the rough housing, which
An eye for an eye.
yeah, an eye for an eye. And so the other coach got upset because I was telling my players to either they're gonna lie down or they're gonna rise to the occasion, right? And I guess it
And you,
didn't
and you
go over
told a
too
bunch of
well.
5-year-olds this.
No, dude, they're six, dude. They're ready for it.
At 6. So
Hey, man,
you're saying
hey,
at 6,
I
get the
mean,
elbow sharpeners out.
I'm with Juan on this one, man. If the other team is bringing it,
You told a 6-year-old studs up. Studs up.
That's right.
thumbs up, yeah. Aim for the.
Planchalo.
I mean, it was funny, and
Being as ethical as you are, I would say that I would have a hard time with these. These were 6 years old. I think that these are probably are they like your right before teenagers, or do you guys have teenagers?
Yeah, they're actually they're gonna be, it's so the age group will be 9 and 10. So they're like preteens or whatever.
Yeah, so you can actually start teaching them like plays and stuff
Yeah, I mean
and concepts.
they're
They're not just
even
running
the
around after the ball at this point. They actually have a little structure.
yeah, I mean, the players, they got a little bit of they understand the game well, and the good thing is that at this age they learn, so they can still learn really fast.
So the other
They
coaches
learn.
got pissed at y'all for playing the same style that they were playing against you.
No, so our playing style, it's possession, it's attacking.
No, I understand that, but these other guys came in and they came in, like you said, being
Yeah,
a little aggressive. So
yeah,
y'all were a little aggressive back, and they got mad at you for playing the same way.
they got upset at me because I was telling my
What
players
were you
to
supposed
match.
to do?
Well, that's what I told the guy. Go look, I mean, I told him, look, you know how your team plays, so stop crying. And I think that set him off.
Okay.
You know, that set up those two guys. They tried to
that's
come
well
after
put,
me.
dude. I think that's exactly.
Well, I mean,
how you should have
I
told
guess
him.
I guess that's what I don't understand. Is like why is the other guy the only one allowed to play like that?
Uh,
Why on earth
well,
would he?
it was the ref because what happened was, dude, they're not even league games. They're just friendlies. We went to their field, and the ref is just being a, total homer, big time hometown advantage. Because then we had another game
So
at their
the
field,
ref's
and the
chili had no
referee,
beans, is what you're saying.
huh?
The ref's chili had no beans.
Yeah, I mean, he was totally, hometown referee. It was like freaking. It was like if we were playing Chivas and they had Santander,
Right.
like that sort of deal. Or it was we were playing America and they had Chiqui Dracula. You know what I mean?
I understand completely. I understand
Yeah.
completely.
Or Panama playing Mexico with Geiger. It was just ridiculous.
So Chivas is that they're done for the league, right? And I think that that Pumas are slowly slipping away. But Santos, as we mentioned earlier in the show, top of the league for Santos at 20 points, and then it's America, Toluca, Tigres, all with 18. Surprising Puebla's
Puebla's in the house, man.
Puebla. I might have to get, if it's not Pumas, Puebla might have to be my team for the Liguilla. Why not?
¿Qué pasó, John? ¿Qué pasó?
That would be.
I might
That
have
would,
to join you in that bandwagon, John. Make room for me.
Joel, I want to call it Puebla. ¿Por qué no? What do you think?
So you're gonna be the cambiagatos de
No, we're
Vergara?
the Camote Power.
Yeah, that's right. The cambia franja. No, it's
Cambiagato, cambia camote.
But no, I mean it's so Puebla's in there. I'm Joel. There's plenty of room, and then it's Cholo. So they're not playing as bad as we do think. They're at 6 with 16, and again that 16 is only 4 points from the top, and then Morelia, Monterrey, Pumas all with actually Morelia with 16, and then Monterrey, Pumas tied with 15. And Monterrey has the better goal differential. So again, Pumas is still just one loss or one win out of fourth place. So all hope is not lost. But again, just I said 25 when I was when they were winning. I'm starting the bargaining. I'm down to please get us 22. Please get us. And at this point, it's like just get to 20. Just get to 20 for Pumas, and hopefully that'll happen. And what kind of power, Joel, does Veracruz have on LigaMX? Because I mean, there's no question
They have staying power.
And then they convince the league to cancel promotion relegation for 2 years.
Yeah, man, Goody, man.
I mean, that is
must have some witch doctor.
No kidding. Has that brings in the brujo to cast us. Of course, we're kidding, but that did happen. They're going to suspend relegation, but they're going to have promotion for the next 2 years. So this is now a race for all the teams that are in the ascenso. If not this season, next season to try and make the push in the 20. Because who knows what's going to happen after that? Do you guys think that they'll just do away with promotion relegation at that point altogether? Or are they going to?
They very well can. You know how they did with the multipropiedad, where they said they were going to get rid of it, and then they just kept extending the cutoff date. So
now this is a move to. I'm sorry, Joel. Go ahead.
No, go on. I had finished already.
Oh, no, I just think if this is a move to help some of the guys sell their franchises, like I think. I forgot. Wasn't it Puebla that's been on sale forever?
No, Puebla just got. Some people invested in it, and they're the people behind this resurgence with hiring Ojitos Mesa and then doing some really good scouting to bring in players like. What's the Canadian guy's name? Striker. Yeah, Well, him.
Landon Donovan.
No, man. We're talking about Puebla. That's Donovan's León. That's something else altogether, man. But no, they did get the investors because I know even Hugo even threw his name in the hat, but he ended up not going in. So, but I think
Anderson
it's
Santa Maria is a. Oh, that's not
no. I
Canadian.
think the underlying thing ultimately is going to be to
Lucas.
figure out TV deals. That's where it's going to be at because now there's 4 open network TV stations in Mexico, and there's even more now influence from the American, like ESPN and Fox. So some of these televisoras, man, they feel like they're losing teams.
Well, that's why they were able to secure the rights to the national team for the next 8 years, or for the next this 3 World Cups, including this one.
Yeah,
So
but you know, there was some knocking in the door, John, because for years you never really heard about a boat or anything of that sort, you know, and now you had that sort of beef between Grupo Pachuca, who was pushing to
I did
take that
read
power from
that they smoked the peace pipe before the last meeting.
Yeah, they had to, man. Televisa was just unleashing everything.
They
They were making.
they had their little ritual, and
So you mean the Tuzos bent the knee?
yeah, to in a
They
matter of
recognized. Yeah, they recognized Televisa as the king of the north. Okay.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so they were able to get all that straightened out, and so they're gonna, over the next 2 years, have 2 teams come up, and I think right now that Alebrijes is going to be in the final because they won the first half. If there was ever a league that needed to go to a full league, a full season league, it's the Ascenso. For however long it still remains, because there's no reason why a team that won the short season should play in something that is so important, 3 months down the road. Because they could be in dead last place and still have that ticket. It just seems that is the one place where you should reward consistency, is in the Ascenso, because how else are they going to be able to compete up at the top level if they don't have that? Just my own personal opinion. I'm sad for teams like Zacatepec, teams that have made some very decent investments and are doing it the right way, and hoping that they can build a squad to be competitive enough to compete for that one day, and then get them back into they have a really nice little stadium. They have a great tradition, and hopefully after these 2 years they will open it up, because some teams I think do deserve a shot to get back into the league, like Tampico Madero, and then or make the league for the first time. I think that's, to me, is what makes promotion relegation so special. Even if it only lasts for a couple of years, so be it. I mean, they got to play in the first division. So hopefully it does come. Joel, do you want promotion relegation to come back in 2 years?
I would. I like it, but I mean, if it's done right, because let's be honest, man, it's a bit of a joke the way it is now.
Well, isn't it the same way they do it in Argentina?
Yeah, but they don't buy their way back. River Plate went down, and they had to fight their way back up. There wasn't 2 River Plates, one in first and one in second. You know what I mean?
Right.
The way we saw with Veracruz and even like Puebla, when they bought, like, there was like a 3-team movement right there, and they bought some club moved somewhere else, and they bought this other team, and so I don't think that should be allowed. I mean, what's the point of having it if you could just come right back up?
Right. I mean, to me, if they go up to 20 teams, I think that's fine. Then to me, make promotion relegation 2 teams instead of 1.
Exactly, and then that I think that also would make the cup more interesting.
Yes. Agreed.
And then, yeah.
The good thing is frankly, as a Pumas fan, the timing couldn't be better. To have this, so they should have the suspension and then borrón y nueva cuenta, from that point forward. And then whatever happens after those 2. I mean, again, for a Pumas fan, the timing cannot be better because next season would have been the first of a series of very rough seasons. And the reality is, I don't know if Pumas has the legs to make. If they make it through, they're going to barely make it through, or at least be in this for 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, Chiquis, I think that you've been pretty pragmatic about Pumas' situation, and the last 3 weeks have not been kind to the eternally optimistic Pumas fans.
Sad times. There was a little bit of hope, but I think it was a false hope at the beginning of the season.
That there hasn't been a Star Wars movie, right, Joel? Star Wars: A False Hope.
False hope.
Yes, the last one.
The last one.
Yeah, instead of The Last Jedi, it should have been False Hope.
Yeah, you didn't like it, Joel?
I did not, sir. It rustled. It triggered and rustled me, both at the same time.
At the same time?
Yes. I was like a Stretch Armstrong. It was from different angles.
So you came out all stretched out. You're like, oh my God, what did I just walk through?
That sounded wrong.
That did sound a little strange.
You still want to show me your cucumber?
Man, it's been so long since I played that. That's probably my favorite drop that I have on here. It just cracks me up every time I hear it. Well, anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Chiquis about your bringing the dose of reality juice to all the Pumas fans, and probably including me. So let's have it. Go ahead.
Even I forget which game it was. I didn't even start the game. I don't know if he was not feeling well or what the issue was, but yeah, it's been bad. Maybe they can change and get some results here upcoming, but not looking good.
Now, for lack of a better way, I will counter. I think I'm, as the eternal optimist Pumas fan, I will counter that they have been playing well in the cup, and as devastating as a 3-game losing streak is, and LigaMX a 3-game winning streak is just as helpful, and just win the next one. Just get something going, get something positive going. And if Pumas can do that, then I do think that there's a chance that they can make the Liga. But if they lose, if they only get like 1 point out of the next 2 games, then yeah, I agree they are in serious trouble. And of course, they have Toluca coming up. So it's just Pumas has a couple of cocos. Chivas is one, Toluca is the other. So that's going to be a challenge. At least it's at home for Pumas to get some points.
The week after they have Cruz Azul, so maybe that's a breather.
Yeah, that's true. Cruz Azul is not is of course, yeah. Yeah. So things don't. But again, I mean, Cruz Azul has always been one of those teams that just can.
Speaking of John, we need to own up.
It's a time, Joel. Can we call time of death on our prediction?
Yeah, I think these 3 home games. This is when we said, if Cruz Azul was gonna go full throttle, this was it. This 3 home game stretch, and they lose against the weakest opponent of the three they're gonna face at home, which was Querétaro, and you have like everyone turning on Caixinha, the fans, Lady Azul, everyone, and
Lady
the
Azul
team's
too.
just
When you lose Lady Azul, I mean, is it is the worst? Now, which one did he lose? Did he lose this
Lady
one?
Mac. There's a lot.
That's Lady Cemento. Here's Lady Máquina. Let's see what.
Lady Máquina.
Sufriendo cada torneo lo mismo.
So he's lost already. Lady Máquina. That's terrible. So, Hoa, does this allow us a mid-season mulligan?
I don't know what mulligan is.
It's like in golf, right?
Oh,
I've teed it up, and I hit one 90 yards into the woods, which frankly happens often. So I was like, no, I'll just tee up another one. That's called a mulligan, and you pretend that the first one never happened, and then you proceed. If I ever get a good score on those when I do that, have you ever played canasta, where you like clean canastas and dirty canastas? I always call those, that was a dirty par, not a real par. But go ahead. Yes, Hoa.
No, I mean, it was a fair shot. I mean, they still have some, but it's pretty unlikely. But yeah, time to go back to the drawing board, John.
Well, no, I don't think we do, Joel, because si nos vamos a Puebla, Joel, hay que subirnos al camión ya de una vez, güey.
That's it. The Puebla. Puebla. I mean, I like Puebla, but I feel like they might run out of steam. They're that team that does really good. The little train that can.
Right.
Goes up the hill, but then once up there, that's it. It spent all its juice, and
the last.
Who knows, man?
The last championship that I saw as a kid, before we immigrated to the States. I don't know if I should tell you, Joel, who it was.
Oh, go on. Go on, you.
It was Puebla.
Oh man, with La Puente.
I don't know. This might have been earlier than that, but I don't know if I should tell you who it was that they beat.
Yeah, the Goats.
Yeah, it was Chivas. And I think that was also the same season where Chivas and America had their crazy fight. That was in the Liguilla, right?
Oh man, yeah, Ron would know that.
In 83.
So that was about 85?
This was 83.
83, yeah. Yeah, no, La Puente came later. He came in 91. But I like Ojitos. I think he deserves. I would like to see him win another league title. That would be good. I just don't think his team might not be deep enough. Later on, some lesiones or something might hinder them. But
so you don't want to start the Puebla, ¿por qué no?
No, it's looking
this week.
No,
we'll start it next week.
Ball, it's cloudy. The crystal ball. Yeah, no, man. It's looking like America might arrasar with all the premios,
Oof.
And there's a lot of talk now of Piojo coming back to the national team.
You think? When they get rid of Osorio after he goes 3 and out in Russia?
Yes. But there's already and this rumor came a long time ago, and I have to give credit to the guy who was Hernan Pereira, and he called it about, was it like 2 years ago maybe, when Herrera went to Tijuana because Cruz Azul had offered him a sweet contract, and he said that they told him from Coapa, they gave him the call and they said, don't go to Cruz Azul, man. We're gonna bring you back. Just be patient, and we're gonna reel you back in. And even Herrera says how he turned down some offers. I think it was from Chile. So I think Herrera's home. I think the planets are aligning, he's looking like he might have a pretty successful tournament.
Interesting. The return of Piojo.
Well, I mean, it's the one job that he values most in the world. I mean, he said it.
Yeah, and if he wins the league title, and then people are going to remember the 14 tournament, and whatever. Because I do think like if the team does look bad at the World Cup, then they're gonna need something to like ease the fans.
Well, what's going to happen is as Ron so passionately brings us every week the putazo de Faitelson, the putazo de Martinoli is gonna become legend if he does it.
Yeah. Oh man, people should start already writing those, man. I'll make a whole list.
Yeah, because I mean, you could rhyme it with, con Philadelphia, con Pennsylvania, con the city of brotherly love. There's so many things you could do with that. Yeah. So, I mean, I personally, and I've said this numerous times on this podcast, that I personally believe they should have never fired him to begin with. I think you fine him, you suspend him, whatever it is, but don't fire him over something like that. Suspend him 6 months, or without pay or whatever it is, but don't fire him.
I agree.
But
they really messed up with it.
The one thing you can say about that whole ordeal is that he matured. He turned into a different coach overnight. I mean, yeah, he gets occasionally, but he gets he's so much more. He can keep his emotions so much more in check now than he did before. But so hopefully that and of course with Osorio turning down Femex Foods offer to resign, hopefully for Piojo, if that's what he wants. And again, the Femex Foods should welcome that, because how many coaches that are as good as Piojo are going to ask for that job, are going to ask for it? I mean, it seems like Mexico has to do convincing instead of interviewing when they need to bring coaches in. Who's interviewing whom in those situations? So a guy like Piojo, who wants the job, the players love him. There's a reason why Washington Tavares has been coaching Uruguay for as long as he has. Why can't Piojo be that guy for Mexico? Why should it only be a 4-year process, or why not make it an 8-12-year process? With a guy that loves doing the gig.
Hey, I noticed Jurgen Klinsmann was at the Chivas game, at the Clásico. Might be far out, but what about him taking over Chivas? In this,
did he show up in Guadalajara with 4 suitcases full of clothes like Almeida did when he came?
Oh shoot! I'd only wish, but
Joel, does your topo have any news on that, on Jurgen?
The only thing was that they're still talking about having a sporting director. So that was one of the things that, because Chivas hasn't hired anyone. There was talk about Galindo, there was talk about Jirafa, and not only did Jurgen go see the game, he stayed in the same hotel as the team. So I think there's a possibility that he might get offered a job. We'll see.
Did you let him use your box, Joel?
No, I have to disengage.
Yeah.
I'll be back, gentlemen.
Okay. Joel has a very strict policy on who he allows in his luxury box at Chivas games. But it's probably a good time for us to wrap it up, though. But with Joel stepping off, I was hoping that we would get his prediction on who would win. Now that we're both officially have, it's like the Hunger Games. Your team is officially eliminated. Cruz Azul isn't necessarily, but they might as well be. Chiquis, is there any hope in sight for Pumas? What has to happen for Pumas to climb out of this? How many do they have to win in a row?
They just have to get one. I think they just need to get one win, and Nico needs to score. They got, I think, a little bit of confidence in this one Lobos Bop game,
right,
yesterday, and maybe that's like the Cibao type of confidence that Chivas got to go into the Clásico, but something needs to happen to where fortunes change, because I think the beginning of the season, their fortunes were looking up. They were fortunate on some of those goals, and then that totally changed. Like reality came back.
Right. Well, I mean, we also have to understand that they were missing their Spanish defender last week. I think he was out suspended because he had
yeah.
Didn't he have 2 yellows? So he was out. I mean, I'm not saying that he's been made that much, but it is very noticeable when he's not, even though when he has played, he has made a couple of just terrible defensive mistakes. Like the ones he made against Tijuana were inexcusable. Just like, that is, fourth graders don't make that mistake. The mistakes that he made. So, personally, like I said, I just, Toluca is always going to be a tough out. I mean, even if you lose this game, at least, if they just start playing better and, they lose 2-1 or whatever it is, or maybe they eke out a tie. To me, that to me would have put Pumas on the start of a good way. But they need 5 more points, to not have a completely disastrous 2 seasons. Obviously, if they can get to 25, that would be, that's 10 points. That might be a little too much to ask for Pumas, considering how many games they have.
I think they can get 5
left on the schedule.
I think they can get more than 5.
Well, they have Toluca, and then they have Cruz Azul, Necaxa, Monterrey, Puebla, Santos, Querétaro. I mean, that is, outside of maybe Necaxa and Querétaro. I mean, those are the only ones where I think the Pumas might. Again, it is LigaMX, but those are the better chances to win. The other ones are iffy at best. I mean, that is a tough way to close, considering how well some certain teams have played. Yeah, so I mean, again, if they can get the 20, anything to where their average is between the 2 seasons, if they can somehow make it to where they can make it to 20, then I think that they'll be okay for the promotion relegation thing. Even though it's canceled, I mean, it'd just be good to solidify that. So hopefully they'll be able to get that taken care of.
Yes, sir.
But we had a fabulous show here on the CantinaMX podcast. We had a very lively discussion about the CONCACAF champions, talked a little about the future CONCACAF tournaments, etc. So it was a good show tonight. Glad to have you guys on. Glad to have you on, Chiquis.
Yeah, thanks for hosting a great show, and happy anniversary on the I'll say it, puñetazo de faltas.
Did that happen today?
I think
Was that the anniversary of that momentous occasion? Joel, I'm glad you're able to hop back on. We're just wrapping up the show.
Yes.
But so thank you for coming on, Joel.
Yes, always a pleasure to be on the show, John.
And I don't know if Profe Cambiarrayas is available. I know he's muted, but we'll want to say thanks to him. Also want to say thanks to Daniel Preciado that joined us earlier. And thanks to y'all for listening. We do appreciate you here on the CantinaMX podcast. Again, you can listen to this and the previous editions of the podcast live, or not live, but from the podcast center on iTunes as well as Google Play. You can catch us live every Thursday night 9:30. If we run a little later, we would try and make a note of that. But we do appreciate the folks that are participating on the chat there. Like us on Facebook. I know that Joel does a real good job of posting some information there, some news, things that can little tidbits that you might need throughout the day. So you can like us there, and of course you can also follow us on Twitter, CantinaMX pod. So we'll say goodnight. Thank you very much. This is John Jagu signing off. We will talk to you guys next week. Thank you.